matchup. But first, we welcome into the show the FC Dallas Insider. He writes for FCDallas.com. And, of course, you hear him on the FC Dallas agenda every week on the podcast feed. It is the great Garrett Meltzer. Happy 4th of July to you, sir.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
Well, obviously, it was another late loss, quite late, 96-minute loss for Dallas, playing against Western leading San Diego. They played them tough all the way throughout, but just ended up conceding late. So as we hit kind of the home stretch of the season, are you more encouraged by the fact that the team is building some performances or more discouraged by the results that seem to follow them?
It's a great question. It's a tough question right off the bat because I know it's really hard to look past results sometimes. They're very visceral, especially when they're home losses. It just feels bad. But I still maintain that performances are slowly improving. And let's not forget, this team turned over half the roster in the offseason and hired a new coach. Those things are going to take some time. There's always going to be a little bit of building blocks that needed to be laid down first. And on the plus side, on the attack, things have improved slowly. Lucho Acosta and Peter Musa look to be more back to themselves, what we saw from them in past seasons. They've combined for 5 goals in the last 3 games. That's really encouraging. Now, on the other hand, defensively, recently, it hasn't been so good, conceding 3 or more goals in the last 2 home games. That's not sustainable. But I think a lot of that has to do with the absence of Osaze Uriguide, who's been out for over a month now with a hamstring injury, and also the red card absences of Sebastian Ibeagha and Lalas Abubakar. Dallas was relying on a pretty inexperienced back line, so it makes a lot of sense that they didn't quite look up to it as you might expect. But as those players start coming back, I do think we'll get the more defensive side of things a little bit more under control. And if the front players can maintain what they've been doing in recent weeks, then I think the results will slowly come there and get a little bit better.
Well, the group charged with getting a result tonight, it's Martin Potts in net, Marco Farfan, Lalas Abubakar, Sebastian Ibeagha, and Shaq Moore. Keike, Sebastian Lletget, and Patrickson in the midfield. Lucho Acosta and Logan Farrington supporting Peter Musa up top. And obviously the big news there, the return of Sebastian Ibeagha after he missed time with a red card suspension. He's next to Lalas Abubakar. And obviously, while we were very impressed with what Alvaro brought to the starting 11, having Sebastian Ibeagha back is a pretty huge upgrade for the Dallas defense, is it not?
It is for sure. Look, Sebastian Ibeagha, he's one of the leaders of the team, and he's definitely the leader of the back line. He's by far the most vocal. He's a good organizer, and that's something that Dallas severely lacked in the previous game. Even if the individuals play well in the back line, if there isn't a lot of cohesion, you're going to concede goals, and that's exactly what happened. So getting him back, that's going to be huge. And I just look forward to seeing him next to Osaze Uriguide, hopefully sooner rather than later, because I think that's definitely Dallas' strongest center back pairing in this point in time.
Yeah, you can see a direct correlation when Osaze left and the goals starting to go up with him out of the lineup. Speaking of defensive players, Keike is back after a suspension situation. He'll play the 6, which allows Lletget and Patrickson to move up the field a little bit. And how does him returning to the lineup help a Dallas midfield that has shown more offense but has also shown a bit of a lack of defense?
Yeah, I think getting Keike back is going to be huge. And look, the guy is really young. He's still very inexperienced, and he's oftentimes rash. And we saw that in the red card he got against San Jose. But he brings something to this midfield that no other Dallas player does, and it's just the ability to cover a ton of ground and also have a ton of tenacity in the tackle. He loves a slide tackle. We know that. And he's more often than not gets the ball and wins the ball cleanly. And that's huge because no one else in the Dallas squad really has that ability to go to ground cleanly and win possession. And like I said, he's still a little bit rash, but I think with time, once he learns how to rein it in a little bit and just be a little bit more clever when he uses that kind of fire that he plays with, I think he's going to be a huge player, and hopefully over the next few games he starts growing and getting a little bit more comfortable. I think that red card could actually be sort of a blessing in disguise because I think it's a kind of a wake-up call for a young player like that.
Yeah, the maturity on a player like that I think is going to be very interesting, and it'll raise his ceiling quite a bit. Well, no Anderson Julio again. He's out due to his hamstring injury. That means Logan Farrington comes into the lineup, and we saw him play that right wing spot last week in the game against San Diego. And admittedly, he's not a winger. He is a striker. He is a guy that wants to be close to the goal. But he's going to play next to Lucho and Musa tonight. What does he bring specifically that, while not a traditional winger, other guys might not?
Yeah, he's not a traditional winger, and he certainly doesn't have the speed to stretch the back line that Anderson Julio has. But what he can do better than him or Bernie Kamungo, who's played a lot of right wing as well, is the ability to hold up the ball and bring others into play. And while he's not personally stretching the back line by making runs past them, him winning the ball and just holding off a defender, or sometimes even two, and finding an outlet pass and allowing Petar Musa and Lucho Acosta to get ahead of them and them make the forward runs, that's stretching the back line in a different way. And he's also probably the most accomplished finisher of the three players we're talking about playing that right wing spot. So if he can get the ball in the box a little bit, he could add an extra goal threat alongside Petar Musa and Lucho Acosta.
Also, he is just annoying to play against if you're the opposition. He's going to get you about 2 to 3 free kicks just off his work rate alone. Well, we've talked a lot about, the way things are going, and Dallas is allowing a lot of goals, but I feel like that's underselling what Martin Paz has done this year. And this is probably more of a long-form topic for the agenda. Listen every Wednesday on the FC Dallas Radio Network podcast feed. But I think we're really seeing some growth from Martin, specifically his aggressiveness in the box. We're seeing him punch a lot more. We're seeing him come out a little bit more. You've covered Martin since he arrived from FC Utrecht in 2022. How does the 2025 product, how has it evolved since you saw him first come in 22?
Well, I think your point there of his ability to come off his line and punch the ball and grab the ball and win that, I think that's really improved this season specifically, because that was probably his only, old school goalkeeping weakness, was commanding his area like that. Now we know maybe his other weakness is with his feet a little bit, but I think that's been masked a lot this season by the play style that Eric Quill has employed. Under Nico Estevez for the previous 3 seasons or so, the team wanted to play out of the back, and so that meant Martin Paz needing to play short passes and oftentimes line-breaking passes on the ground, and that really isn't his strength, even though he was raised in the Dutch system, which is kind of surprising. But what he is good at is a long pass, and that's what Eric Quill wants oftentimes from the goalkeeper when he has the ball, is just to bypass the defenders, oftentimes bypass the midfield and look long. And Martin's been very accurate at that, and the stats back that up. But what I'm most impressed with is his ability to come off his line and make the right judgment of when and when not to do that. Because in previous years he often gave up a penalty in those situations where he would try to beat the attacker to the ball and he would get there late and give a penalty. He hasn't done that this season, and so that's a huge thing, because giving up penalties, that just makes it very tough to win.
I was thinking about the time he got a red card. I believe it was in St. Louis when he came off his line and grabbed the ball outside of his box because he misjudged. So the maturity is clearly there, even if maybe the numbers don't quite bear it out. Well, here comes Minnesota. The Loons and Minnesota United have arrived here today, and boy, they're having a great season under Eric Ramsey. They're third in the division. But Dallas played them to a 1-1 draw at Allianz Field, and the Loons don't have a great time when they come to Toyota Stadium. Only 2 wins in 10 attempts. That includes the playoffs here in Frisco. With that said, I feel like we're asking a variation of this question every week. How can Dallas take that success and finally get that second home win?
It's going to be really interesting, because these are 2 teams who don't really want to play with the ball. They don't want to be the protagonists of the game. That's certainly Minnesota to a T. They want to absorb pressure and sometimes press you, but also just attack quickly once they get the ball. And they've been better at that than anybody else in the league. In some ways, they might be a blueprint for how FC Dallas is trying to get there. And I think Dallas can get there. But tonight, I think the result matters more than anything, just for the vibe, or around the stadium or in the locker room and everything. So I think in this one you kind of have to play like the away team, and that might be tough to do against an actual away team who also wants to play like that. But if Dallas can play their game, which at their best is absorbing pressure, hitting on the counter, and looking to hurt them in transition moments, if they can just do that and play to that, then they'll probably be in a pretty good spot. But it's going to be super interesting, because both teams are going to be trying to do the exact same thing, so we'll really have to see how that one plays out.
Well, for their credit, FC Dallas trying to act like the road team. If I'm not mistaken, they also stayed in a hotel and bussed over to the stadium tonight. So I give Eric Quill A+ for trying to replicate that road record. But that is Garrett Meltzer. Find all his fine work on FCDallas.com, on all the various social media platforms, and we will hear from him again with Steve Davis at halftime today. Garrett, thank you so much. We'll talk to you in a little while.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
When we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, we'll bring you the sounds of tonight's match. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Oh, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Logan Farrington, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Winner, winner, Chick-fil-A dinner all season long when FC Dallas wins at home. Fans win free Chick-fil-A. Be sure your Chick-fil-A app is up to date and location services are turned on when you attend matches at Toyota Stadium. After the team wins, before you leave your seats, open the app to redeem the Chick-fil-A offer. Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show. We're getting you ready for FC Dallas versus Minnesota United, presented by Toyota. In our next segment, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis will join me to break down the starting lineup and tactics and storylines for tonight's matchup. And just a quick reminder about the FC Dallas Radio podcast feed available everywhere you get free podcasts. Of course, our post-game show goes live there after it finishes live on the air. But the FC Dallas Agenda joined it this year, coming mostly every Wednesday. Big name guest, analysis, previews, everything you need to know about your favorite football club here in Dallas. All you got to do, go to your podcast provider of choice, type in FC Dallas Radio Network, and then hit subscribe to get all of our great content live and free. Let's get you to the sounds of tonight's match, which this evening are from manager Eric Quill and forward Petter Musa.
I mean, we've played them once already, so we'll show them the ways in which we played really well against them defensively and what they're trying to do, but there's a non-negotiable mentality effort that against a team like that you have to have in the game's entirety, and it can't just be in spells. So we've got to make sure that we're physically up for the fight and you know, not letting them do the things they want to do, but competing hard against a team that competes hard. I mean, we're not happy with where we sit, so these guys know it, and we're committed to the mission of being a playoff team and giving ourselves the best chance to be champions. And I know we're not where we want to be, and we've been honest with ourselves, and there's a hunger in the bellies, and we got to execute. We got to find the entire duration of a game where we're switched on. I think we're still finding a little too many moments where we switch off, and that's where we get hurt. So. But we're going to get there. I believe there's growth in what we're doing, and now these guys are, you know, they're ready to execute.
Yeah, it's nice to score and everything, but I'm more focused on winning the games. I think this is most important, and now we play again at home in front of our fans, and we want to put everything on the field and try to win the game. We are very motivated, especially when we play at home in front of our fans. We want to make them proud, happy every single game. Sometimes it's hard, you know, and but we will try on Friday. We focus on the small details, which is very important. I think that we played really good games in the last couple of weeks, but you know, the details are very important, and we work on that and trying to improve every day. And yeah, we just can say that we will give 100% in Friday and try to win at home, because they deserve to. Our fans deserve that we win at home.
When we're returning on the FC Dallas pregame show, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis join me to break down tonight's match. This is FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar. The Wow at the world of WinStar.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Leggett, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota. We've got about 14 minutes until kickoff from Toyota Stadium, so let's go ahead and bring you tonight's starting lineups, which are brought to you tonight by Advocare. We start first with the visiting Minnesota United and second-year manager Eric Ramsey. It's Dane St. Clair in net for the Loons, Michael Boxall, Carlos Harvey, and Nicholas Romero in front of him, Anthony Marcanet, Joaquin Pereira, Will Trapp, and Julian Gressel in the midfield, Robin Ludd, Kelvin Yeboah, and Tani Oluwaseyi up top for Minnesota. Now let's bring you the starting 11 for FC Dallas and first-year manager Eric Quill.
Maarten Paas, goalkeeper, University of Amsterdam.
Shaq Moore, right back, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Sebastian Ibiaga, center back, Duke University.
Lalas Abubakar, central defender, University of Dayton.
Marco Farfan, left back, from Portland, Oregon.
Kaique, midfield, Brazil.
Sebastian Leggett, center midfield, San Francisco, California.
Patrickson, mediocampista, Ecuador. Logan Farrington, striker, Racine, Wisconsin.
Luciano Costa, midfielder, I'm from Argentina.
Petar Musa, forward, from Zagreb, Croatia.
Subs tonight for Dallas: Siki and Sabaling, Ramiro, Pedrinho, Alvaro, Josh Torquato, Sam Sarver, Michael Colodi, Diego Garcia, and Anthony Ramirez. Now let's bring in our commentary team for tonight's July 4th match. It's Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. Lads, we've got a long way to go, but a short time to get there, as a man once said. So, Ryan, I'll start here with you. We've got three big changes tonight for Dallas. Sebastian Ibiaga returns to the starting 11, Kaique returns to the starting 11, and Logan Farrington gets the start at right wing with the injured Anderson Julio. Of those three changes, which one do you see as the most impactful for FC Dallas tonight?
Yeah, I think getting Kaique back in the lineup is a big one for sure. I think his tackling ability, his energy in midfield is going to be crucial tonight. And we know the style that Minnesota likes to play. They like to defend deep and counterattack. He's going to be the one tasked with sitting in front of the two center backs and breaking up those counterattacks before they get into dangerous situations where they're two high-powered front two, the strikers Yeboah and Oluwaseyi, get one-on-one with center backs. That's the situation Dallas doesn't want to get into. Kaique is going to be huge in stopping those opportunities tonight.
Meanwhile, Steve Davis, you've advocated for Logan Farrington at that right wing spot, asked, hey, could it happen? And it's happening tonight. We don't know what's going to be the outcome here, but what do you think it might look like with the big dog out there?
I don't know that I would say I've advocated for it. We've wondered about it. Maybe that's more accurately put.
Maybe so.
Look, I think what's going to happen here is that we're not going to see him play as a classic winger. I think he's going to tilt inside a lot. Hopefully, I'd like to see him play as a second striker, playing off of Musa. It's going to be important for Shaq Moore, as Dallas is in possession, to get up and supply the width, because he is something more like a winger.
I guess we could see the return of maybe the Diamond Dogs tonight if Lucho Acosta moves under and lets those two guys eat up top. Obviously, you mentioned Kaique, Ryan. That's also going to help Sebastian Leggett and Patrickson, who both have had to play a little bit more defense with the more offensive-minded midfield, but this gives them a little bit more of a strong base at that triangle.
Yeah, it does. I think Patrickson had a pretty solid 2 games. I think the Wednesday game he was better, and then obviously on Saturday he had the one mistake, but outside of that, still a pretty solid game, and Eric Quill thinks there's a lot to like about his game, so getting him in there, getting him a consistent run of games can only help him continue to build form. And look, Sebastian Leggett, of everybody in the starting 11 today, the team has the best records when he starts. He's just at 500, 4 wins, 4 losses, and 2 draws. And in the season that's gone the way it has, that tells you his importance in the lineup. He gets a goal last game. He's in good form, and the team needs him at the top of his game. So getting him in his more natural position tonight with Kaique behind him is huge.
I tell you what, this makes it a more balanced midfield, because we talk about how that arrangement, sort of stopgap, was a very attack-minded midfield. Okay, fair enough. You know what else is done? 9 goals in 3 games. You're not going to win very much giving up 3 goals a game on average. So I like the balance the balanced midfield that we have tonight.
Before we get to tonight's keys to the match, Steve, a little bit of bad luck for Dallas. Dane St. Clair and Tani Oluwaseyi, both back from Gold Cup duty with Canada, and both back in the lineup for that. That's their number one goalkeeper and their number one scorer with 8 goals. It's a big challenge tonight for FC Dallas.
Yeah, look, I know what you're saying. I mean, I'm not being obtuse here. I get it. Is maybe you can call it bad luck, but look, this is the league. This is the team. You are at home. You've got a pretty good record on July 4th, and doggone it, you got to beat whoever's here, and that's who's here. And I think if Dallas is going to win tonight, it's going to be great. If they beat a better Minnesota team than one just slipping in here with at half strength.
But we can let Jesse Marsh know it's a good thing that they wanted to be there, but they're at home anyway.
That's right.
Hey, right now with FC Dallas, I think they'll take wins anywhere they can get them, but it would be nice to beat a team like Minnesota. It is worth noting, as I said in our first segment with Gary Meltzer, only 2 total wins for Minnesota here at Toyota Stadium. The record is much better for the Loons at Minnesota Allianz Field than it is here in Frisco. Well, let's get you tonight's keys to the game. Those are brought to you by Toyota, and they're also brought to you by Steve Davis.
Thank you, Sam. Look, number one, they've got to have creativity from Lucho Acosta. Minnesota gets players back, and they get organized very fast. Dallas has to find ways to break down a defense that's reliably compact. A lot of that's going to be on Lucho Acosta to be creative in the ways that he can be, especially as he combines with Petar Musa. Number two, man, they got to defend that long throw. Shout out to 1990 Soccer on this one. Michael Boxall's throws are a real threat. They've scored off of one of those in each of the last 2 matches. The specific key there, Sam, is FC Dallas has to win that first header at the near post. And then finally, they've got to match Minnesota's mentality, because Minnesota has talent, yes, but really they do it through defense, discipline, mentality, and a really tight organization all over the field. So FC Dallas tonight has to match the Loons' purpose, the Loons' intent, and their mentality. And those are your keys, presented by Toyota.
Thank you, Steve Davis. It's almost a Pokemon situation tonight for FC Dallas. The first version and the third version, the evolved form across them in Minnesota. Each team doesn't really want the ball. They do want to go out there and hit you on transition and play aggressively. And we will see how that works out here tonight for FC Dallas. As the captains are walking out on the field, Minnesota in their Galaxy Starry Night kit, FC Dallas in their Inferno kit, as we get ready for July 4th action here at Toyota Stadium. Fireworks after the match, hopefully some fireworks on the field as well. But as we get ready for this one to end, we will call it a wrap on the FC Dallas pregame show. But before we head off to break, let's go ahead and we will send it to our public address announcer, Chris Bucambuso.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are devastated by the tragic flooding in Central Texas. Our thoughts are with the families affected by this heartbreaking event. Please join us in a moment of silence to honor them. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome as tonight's hero of the match, J.D. Lawless. J.D. proudly served in the U.S. Army, where he retired after 20 years of active duty as a senior human resources manager. During the services, he was in the 1st Infantry Division, 2nd Infantry Division, 8th Personnel Command, 101st Airborne, and other prestigious commands around the world. Please help us honor J.D. Lawless for his outstanding service as tonight's hero of the match. Fans, please rise if you are able and remove your hats for the National Anthem of the United States, performed by Dr. Kat Strauss.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran along, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Martin Paas, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Welcome in to a rain-soaked Toyota Stadium tonight where we celebrate the 4th of July with our annual tradition of some footy and fireworks. It's FC Dallas and Minnesota United in a Western Conference showdown under the Friday night lights. I'm Ryan Figert, joined tonight on Independence Day by the one and only Steve Davis. And Steve, we've got to set the stage with the unfortunate facts, the reality of the situation. Dallas is the worst home team in Major League Soccer statistically, and the bottom line is that has to change on the back of 2 home losses. It has to change tonight.
You know, the only thing holding the season together is that outstanding road record, Ryan, and you're absolutely right. It's been 3 months. This is the tail end of a 3-game homestand. Man, it's time to make a stand. By the way, footy and fireworks. Nice touch, bud. Nice alliteration to start us off here. And Dallas are without some key contributors. Once again, that's been sort of the story of the season at times. Not only Paxton Pomykal, but Osaze Urquide, who's now closer and closer to returning. Anderson Julio, joined now by Kamungo and Norris. All of those out injured. How is that going to affect the way that the Burn can play tonight? The style of play, I'm thinking particularly of Urquide at the back and Julio in the front line. Yeah, Logan Farrington being on the right wing. We know he's not a winger. We saw him get into positions the other day as he came in off the bench playing that position where he obviously doesn't really, have the right kind of tools in his belt to play over there. You know, when he gets to the corner of the penalty area, he doesn't really have the ability to get around the corner, and sort of defenders know that. So I hope we see him play a little bit more inside tonight as Dallas maybe holds the ball a little bit more in the attacking half, and then getting Shaq Moore up the right side to supply the width from that side. Oh, we are just about set to get underway here on the 4th of July. Minnesota looks like they'll move from left to right here in the first half in their black with blue and white accents. Dallas will move from right to left in their Inferno kits, a light blue with bright red accents. We're seeing deep in the heart of Texas here on the 4th of July. It's Jair Marufo, the man in the middle with the whistle tonight, an experienced referee in his 24th year, refereeing his 11th game in 2025, back in his home state, an El Paso native himself. He's in the middle tonight, assisted by Adam Garner and Jeffrey Greason. The VAR is David Barry. 48 years old, Jair Marufo. If he makes a mistake tonight, it won't be because he's lacking experience. I think he still does a good job. Final checks here. And the whistle goes from Marufo. Drop back to Dane St. Clair. We are underway here from Toyota Stadium. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the FC Dallas Radio Network, on Sirius XM FC, wherever you're tuned in. We appreciate you spending the 4th of July here with us. Dallas looking to get off to a hot start through Logan Farrington on the far side. On the dribble, he wins a throw-in as the ball is rolling here in Frisco. Looking at Kayake right now, sort of having a little check over his shoulder, seeing where Abubakar is. So important that he really stays connected to those center backs tonight, Ryan.
Ball launched towards Musa from the throw. Musa commits the foul, knocking over Nicolas Romero for helping him back up.
Michael Boxall back there is the heart of that defense. He's an all-star along with Dane St. Clair. But I'll tell you what, he's made a couple of mistakes in the last couple of matches. A couple of guys have gotten in behind him. He had one instance where I thought it was actually a penalty kick. They ended up going into VAR and judging that the foul was right outside the penalty area. So
yeah, if had Ben Houston on the other side of that, I think I would have agreed with you. Leggett advances the ball into the feet of Musa. Set back for Farrington, motoring up the right side. Acosta was tripped up off the ball and will stop play for a free kick for Dallas just on the halfway line for Lucho Acosta, who takes it short back to Kaike to get things going again.
Yeah, Marufo tried to let the play go there, but Dallas lost the ball immediately, so Marufo doing a good job of blowing the whistle and calling the play back.
Abubakar out to Ibiaga. First time ball looking for Musa. Wasn't ready for it. Heavy touch from Boxall. And Dallas recovered possession in the middle. Nodded forward towards Musa. Header won there by Harvey. Both of these teams in the bottom three in terms of average possession this season. Somebody's going to have the ball tonight. And with Dallas at home, the impetus, of course, is with them to do so. These teams played to a 0-0 draw in Minnesota earlier in the year.
Minnesota doesn't want the ball. I think Dallas would like to have a little bit more of it. They just haven't been the best in MLS at building out of the back.
St. Clair goes long and direct towards Yeboah, battling there with Ibiaga. Breaks for Shaq Moore. And we'll go back to Martin Paz. First touch for the Dallas number 1. All-star goalkeeper last year for Dallas. St. Clair in there this year for Minnesota, making his second appearance in the All-Star squad. Time on the ball for Ibiaga. Fires it out to Shaq Moore. Heavy first touch, straight out of play.
We wondered how Minnesota would line up tonight because it's been a 5-4-1 lately, but as they get Oluwaseyi back in the lineup off the Canadian national team duty, looks like they're back in the 3-5-2 that they've used before when both those players are available. Talking about Ian Kelvin Yeboah.
Oluwaseyi, not a designated player, but it has the output of one, certainly, and Yeboah is a DP for them.
Yeah, Oluwaseyi, 8 goals, 5 assists this year.
Boxall into Robin Ludd, another former MLS All-Star, advancing the ball here to Pereira. Lifts this one over the top, foot race to get to it. Yeboah out, and Martin Paz off his line. Awkward one right on the edge of the box, and then a first-time effort from Julian Gressel, who will try those, is way off target.
Yeah, Martin Paz was scrambling to get back, but I think he'd regained enough position there that even if Gressel had been able to pull off an Anders Dreyer and really hit a cracker accurately, I think Martin Paz probably had that one covered.
Dallas center back certainly on high alert against this front two from Minnesota. Abubakar and Ibiaga, they've got pretty good top speed, but their acceleration over those first 5 yards not quite at the level of the strikers from Minnesota. Here's a giveaway for Kaike, and now Yeboah inside the box, set it up here by Oluwaseyi. Good save from Martin Paz, scrambling it away off his line. And Dallas clear their lines. They'll have a throw close to the halfway.
I mean, Minnesota does such a good job, and they did it there, of just baiting you into certain places. That was just a bad touch that assisted Minnesota there. And usually when they're doing that, it's a lot further back down the field, and then they want to get the ball forward very quickly.
Abubakar over to Farfan, closed down by Gressel. Patrickson dropping deep in there alongside Kaike. Two young midfielders trying to form a relationship in the center of the park. Abubakar again pressed, goes back to Paz. Now Yeboah chasing Martin Paz, who launches it long out towards Shaq Moore over his head. Header there won by Markanich. Switching ball out to Gressel. Gressel whips the cross in. Header won there by Yeboah. Looking to knock it down for Oluwaseyi, but it's comfortable for Martin Paz, who quickly rolls it out to Sebastian Leggett. Back to Paz, who now goes long. We've got 2 targets up there to aim at in Farrington and Musa. But it's Pereira on it. And Patrickson this time with a sliding tackle to get a foot on the ball, but quickly onto it again. Robin Ludd and then Patrickson with another intervention. Now finds Musa. Musa driving through the middle of the field with runners there alongside him. Out to Logan Farrington on the right wing. Lucho Acosta checks back, asking for the ball. Farrington still on the dribble. Looks to pick out Sebastian Leggett. Pass deflected up in the air. Farfan tripped up. Nothing called. Leggett back on it. Now finds Petar Musa. Musa on the turn. Gets the shot away. Wide of goal. Lost his footing right as he got the shot away. Musa, who scored a hat trick against Minnesota at home last season.
Musa gesturing there after he shoots at 22 yards. I think he wanted maybe to find Shaq Moore a little higher up the field, but does a good job of fighting off the physical contact and able to get the shot away. Just can't wrap his right foot around it, so he misses pretty badly at that right side of post.
6th minute here, scoreless at Toyota Stadium. Dane St. Clair takes the goal kick short over to Nicolas Romero. St. Clair back on it here, just inviting Musa to come and press him. Musa stands 7 yards away. It's fired over again to Romero, the left center back, now back to St. Clair. Will go long off the left foot. Kaike able to get a head on it. Ball bouncing around in the middle third. Kaike stabs it out towards Farfan. Awkward one to deal with, and he does well. And finds Acosta in the center circle. Turns past one. No way past Robin Ludd. And now Pereira in possession for Minnesota. Experienced midfield pivot for the Loons of Will Trapp and Robin Ludd. .450 combined games between them in Major League Soccer.
I mean, Robin Ludd, he's probably going to get to 400 MLS matches all by himself. He's going to be one of these MLS lifers, and he's a good one.
Nice tackle from Kaike, restores possession for Dallas. Lucho Acosta on it. Head to Leggett, back to Acosta near the halfway line on the left side. Lobs this one towards the chest of Petar Musa, brings it down, invites Carlos Harvey in. Now finds Lucho Acosta once again on the left side. And to the feet of Marco Farfan. 1-2. Acosta trying to keep it in play, unable to do so. That one maybe just a little over hit. Carries over the byline for a goal kick.
A big drenching rain here about almost 2 hours before kickoff, so the field should be nice and slick, and maybe a little bit too slick there, as you said. Pass just a little bit overhit as Lucho Acosta made that overlapping run on the left side.
St. Clair goes long. This time targeting Yeboah. 2 Dallas players challenging for it. Nobody's really sure where the ball ended up as Ibeagha watches this one over the line. It'll be a Minnesota throw. And a Minnesota throw in an attacking area, which means Boxall will come and launch this one into the box.
I told you in the keys to the game that they've scored on one of these twice in the last 2 matches, one each.
Well, Boxall, the center back, has 4 assists, largely in part because of this ability to really launch it in the box.
They've got 2 or 3 defenders with 4 assists. A lot of that is because when they're not launching, they're just going long out of the back.
It is Boxall there underneath this one towards the edge of the 6-yard box. First header won by Dallas, not cleared, and then Abubakar helps it further away, only as far as Robin Ludd, 20 yards from goal. Checks back for Boxall and Will Trapp in the center circle. Dallas defending that opportunity. And it won't be the last. Gressel goes long. Jack Moore wins the header. Markanich beats Farrington to it. Now Pereira off the left foot on the turn. Carlos Harvey from the edge of the box stings the palms of Martin Paas, who punches that one away towards the corner flag. It'll be a corner. But Martin Paas involved early here in the first 10 minutes.
I'm not sure how a defender finds himself with that much time and space to shoot, but Harvey gets the ball at about 18 yards, 19 yards along the left side. He turns and he's got nobody in front of him, so he's able to rip a shot toward the near post. Nice job by Martin Paas of fighting that one off, giving up the game's first corner kick.
It's going to be Julian Gressel to take from the far side, an in-swinger from the MLS veteran. Whips this one in right on top of Martin Paas, who flaps at it, got a hand to it, and wanted a foul, nothing given. It'll be another corner on the other side.
There's a lot of traffic there. It looked like he got 2 hands on it. I thought he did get fouled.
Now Pereira will take an in-swinger from the near side. They're not spoiled for choice in terms of set-piece service, Minnesota. They're not even using Robin Ludd. Be the left foot of their designated player, Joaquin Pereira here. 2 arms raised this time. Keane the runs inside the box, whipped in. Again, Martin Potts just cleared out, and it's behind for another corner. I really can't believe this has been allowed to happen now twice.
Yeah, and I just saw a quick replay of the first corner kick, and Potts was definitely bundled into.
I mean, it's the scouting report on Minnesota, a big physical team that tries to take advantage of set pieces. It's Gressel again from the far side. This time whipped in towards the near post and got a touch off of a Dallas head, I believe. They'll be retrieved by Shaq Moore out at the other side. Quickly plays it down the line for Marco Farfan, under hits the pass. And Boxall got a foot on it. Dallas back in possession from the throw. I'll tell you what, Steve, I don't want to see too many more corner kicks tonight from Minnesota for everybody's heart health and Dallas's chances at 3 points.
There's a threat on all 3 of those.
Switching ball from Patrickson out to Acosta on the left side. First time ball into Farfan, trying to set it back for Acosta. He'll have a throw instead. Well, when you add a team that plays 3 center backs and has 2 pretty tall strikers as well, you add Julian Gressel and his service to that mix, it was always going to be a dangerous recipe for the opposition.
Well, especially if Marufo isn't going to call fouls on the goalkeeper.
Especially then. Farfan takes the throw near the corner flag. Finds the feet of Acosta. Acosta 1-2 with Leggett up the left side. Evades the tackle of Gressel. But a heavy touch as he jumped over the sliding Julian Gressel, and it's out for a goal kick. Well, the best way to experience FC Dallas soccer is with a season ticket membership, which has a host of benefits that make this the best option in sports, including a complimentary MLS Season Pass subscription, discounts on concessions at Toyota Stadium, and much more. You can find the membership that's perfect for you at fcdallas.com/memberships.
I mean, right now, Minnesota at 52% of the possession. That might be a season high for them.
Boxall goes long, header won by Ibiaga. Farrington will give chase. Markanich all the way back to St. Clair. St. Clair, who developed on loan at San Antonio FC early in his career, back when I was working for SAFC.
Looks like Canada's #1 now.
Ball lifted to the top for Yeboah. Foot race here with the Boubacar. Boubacar now gets positioning, and he'll concede a corner. No, good sliding tackle to keep it a throw-in. Although those things are largely one and the same for Minnesota United. It's good work there from Lalas. Those foot races with Yeboah and Oluwaseyi, really dangerous moments with Noah Osazi Arquide in there, who was able to largely neutralize the pair of them in Minnesota earlier this season.
Yeah, for Boubacar and Ibiaga, it's really just about reading the play, because if you can get that second or even half-second head start, it helps a lot.
Boxall's long throw into the danger area off the head of Boubacar. Patrickson brings it down and sends it clear.
That fell into a dangerous area right in front of Martin Paz.
Harvey momentarily, the right wing back here, was back to Gressel. First time ball swung in, and it's going to be one that Martin Paz can catch. Didn't mean it was an easy one for him to catch.
No, it was hit so high, and the ball is slick right now.
He does bring it in. Rolled out to Shaq Moore. Patrickson now finds Kaique. Sebastian Leggett tasked with some of that ball progression through midfield that Dallas has struggled with when he's been out this season at times. A few passes exchanged between he and Lucho Acosta, who will bend this ball in behind Julian Gressel. Marco Farfan gets there in time, swings the cross into the near post. It's Farrington. Great first touch. Farrington saved by St. Clair. The follow-up off target from Shaq Moore. Wow, that was an incredible first touch from Logan Farrington. Unlucky not to open the scoring on the second.
It all starts on a really nice little ball hit on the outside of his foot from Lucho Acosta into Marco Farfan. The problem is that Peter Musa had checked out for the ball, so he wasn't inside the goal area, but Logan Farrington was.
Good save from St. Clair. 2 hands right at him, but nearly deflected it towards the back post and in. Now Minnesota building up right through the middle of the field. It's in behind for Oluwaseyi, who's in behind Marco Farfan, who's defending now. Abubakar's the one who swings the cross out to Julian Gressel. Harvey finds Robin Ludd. Into the feet of Oluwaseyi, back from Gold Cup duties with Canada. Oluwaseyi on the dribble. Tries to get it in behind for Gressel. Fortunate break does get to Julian Gressel. Headed away by Ibiaga off the cross. And retrieved there by Kaike, wide on the left for Dallas.
16 minutes in, a little bit too much happening in front of Martin Paz right now. Open shots, corner kicks, crosses coming in from Gressel, who can really hit a good ball.
Dallas move it quickly from left to right. Shaq Moore now brings it into the attacking half. Out to Logan Farrington on the right wing. Checks back for Lucho Acosta in the right half space. Invites Will Trapp to dance. Now drops it off for Delgado. Delgado over to Kaike, and Minnesota do what they do best and get back in that 5-4-1 shape defensively. Acosta turns it over in the middle. Oluwaseyi out to Yeboah. Pereira puts this one over the top. Oluwaseyi's got a head start here. Abubakar defending. Oluwaseyi off the left foot is wide without a touch from the Dallas goalkeeper.
That's a bad giveaway from Lucho Acosta right in the middle of the field. And for Minnesota, it's the old classic up, back, and through. And that time it just turned into a shot that wasn't hit the very best. And Martin Paz had it covered at the far post anyway.
Abubakar, I mentioned he has a pretty good top speed, and we see that the first couple of yards, it looks like Oluwaseyi's free and clear before Abubakar does make up some ground. Happened again on that occasion. Kaike brings it down in the middle of the field. Now Shaq Moore brings it forward on the dribble. Finds Farrington centrally, who's able to get turned here. Spots the run of Farfan up the left side. Some space for Marco with targets in the area. Marco Farfan, ball in behind for Farrington towards the byline. Cuts it back, looking for options. Back to Farfan. Gressel defending. Got a touch, and last touch off Marco will be a goal kick.
That was an attack that had some promise, and in the end, it's the ball is played into Logan Farrington, but he's sort of running diagonally, and he can't really swivel his hips and hit the ball back across goal with his left foot, so he has to circle back out, give it back to Farfan, and sort of just peters out from there.
18th minute scoreless here in Frisco, Texas. Dallas and Minnesota United. One of 3 games on the 4th of July across Major League Soccer tonight. Friday night footy. Launched long by Boxall, header won by Abubakar. Will Trapp brings it down the middle of the field. First time ball out towards Oluwaseyi. Shaq Moore steps in the passing lane to intercept. Jet out to Farfan, who's been involved in an attacking sense in these opening 20 minutes tonight. Dallas quickly moving the ball, find Kaike centrally. Surveys his options, out to Farfan once again. Down the line for Farrington, popping up on the left side. Gets past Harvey. Now out to Leggett. 1-2 there. Logan Farrington inside the box now. Nice footwork onto his left foot. Cuts back to his right, sets it up for Lucho Acosta, but Ludd steps in the way. Farrington looking really lively in these last 5 minutes.
So far, I'd say he's been Dallas's best offensive threat.
And they'll go up the left side once again. Farfan bending this ball in behind, looking for Musa. Header won by Boxall. And picked up by Pereira in the middle. Dallas setting their defensive line a little bit higher than Minnesota does when they get everybody back. They're just 10 yards into their own half as the Minnesota center backs have it. Fighting that ball in behind, it's the risk reward. Robin Ludd in possession here. Out to Romero, back to Boxall. 36-year-old from New Zealand. Getting his flowers for a long MLS career with Minnesota, and not in the All-Star game this year. Gressel passed that I think Lucho Acosta read, but just couldn't get in the passing lane in time. Risky one. It's actually Pereira, who's now popped up as the right wing back with Gressel filling the role centrally. Harvey, the right center back, on it. Back to Boxall.
The other thing with Logan Farrington playing as that right wing, I'll let you take this.
Ball in behind, comfortable for Martin Paz as that one skips off the turf all the way through to the Dallas 18-yard box.
Yeah, what you get over there is Farrington. You get a little bit more defense as opposed to when Anderson Julio is over there.
Julio, who we were encouraged to see out and working with his cleats on at training this week. You never know with those soft tissue injuries, which is what it looked like for him the other day.
I saw Sazi Orguide doing a lot of work over there with the full team, and that's encouraging.
Lucho Acosta flicks this one in behind. Farrington gives chase up the right side. First time ball into Musa. Musa, right-footed shot, spilled by St. Clair, but wide of goal.
I love the aggressiveness there. First ball in, squirts out to the right side into Logan Farrington. Farrington just takes one touch because he sees a good run coming in from Musa at the near post. I want to see more of that.
I think an offside flag went up. So Dallas won't have a corner. Instead, it'll be St. Clair from the top of the box.
St. Clair didn't look totally comfortable with that. I know the flag was up, so it wouldn't have mattered, but
Yeah, it's a bad break for Dallas, too. He wasn't offside on the replay.
Was it Musa?
I think they flagged Musa, but he was behind the last man. Or in front of the last man, sorry. Whistle goes, foul against Yeboah as he and Abubakar challenge for the aerial ball. Lawless quickly back up to his feet.
Well, no score through 22, but it's been pretty lively. There's been action now in front of both goals.
That was the case in Minnesota when it went scoreless for 90 minutes. It certainly wasn't a boring game.
I thought Asazi Orguide was so good in that one.
So ready to see him back out there with the team, hopefully as soon as these next couple of games in the California road trip.
Well, I mentioned 9 goals conceded in the last 3 matches, and look, a lot of that is not having your best defender in there.
St. Clair spots Pereira, launches it to him off the throw, now into the feet of Oluwaseyi. Dallas defending with 4 here as Oluwaseyi lines up the shot from distance. Pass punches it away, and Abubakar heads it back to him. Martin Pass, again, another save, an important one on the shot from distance there from Tani.
Kaike got drawn out a little too far there. Allowed Oluwaseyi a lot of room to turn in there at about 30 yards, and then advancing a little bit further before he got the shot off against Paz.
Costa back to Ibiaga. Over to Kaike, who's dropping in, splitting those center backs in the build-up. Missed Sebastian Lletget with the pass. And now direct into the feet of Oluwaseyi with runners either side. It's Pereira now, past Kaike. Pereira on the left side. And the shot flashes just wide of the back post. Another dangerous moment off the turnover.
Minnesota just so good at that. That's the reason they don't need possession. They're just so good at converting those turnovers into really quality chances.
I'm glad Martin Pass has a better eye than me because he let that one go. It wasn't far from the top corner on the opposite side. KK just bundled over by Robin Ludd. Deep in the Dallas half. KK returning from the red card suspension. His second game missed through suspension this season. 19-year-old. Shown a lot of positive signs, but discipline, I think, with the whole of the Dallas team, but particularly with him, needs to improve.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's young, and you sort of expect it. You know, there's a couple of places out there, you know, guys getting suspended. And card accumulation, Ramiro, Acosta, Ibiaga with the red card. Those are the ones you really frown on.
Acosta is 1 yellow card away from another suspension coming into tonight. Ramiro 2 cards away. He's on the bench as he returns from injury tonight.
I thought Acosta was, and then I didn't see his name on the list.
Maybe he got off one with a good behavior and I missed it. Here's the ball in behind. Petar Musa gives chase. Musa trying to bring it down, goes down himself, and he's the one whistled for a foul against Boxall. I think towards the edge of the field, towards the byline, Dane St. Clair's goal, it seems players having some difficulty with maybe the wetness of the field over there.
I mean, it did rain a lot. And it was about still raining, what, about an hour and a half before the match?
This ball over the top. Yeboah gives chase. Pass again out off his line. Diving header out to Julian Gressel. Pass in retreat. Gressel settles it and finds Ludd in the middle. Pass, one of the most involved Dallas players tonight, you could say. You don't usually say that for a goalkeeper. But he's had to help the center backs out a few times now. In addition to quite a few saves through 25 minutes, as we're scoreless here in Frisco.
Yeah, 3 saves so far in 25 minutes, and having to deal with some other balls in traffic. It's not really what you want at home, but this is a very good Minnesota team, so it's not completely unexpected.
Minnesota building up on the left side, ball in behind for Pereira. Pereira sends this cross in towards Oluwaseyi. Farfan, important defensive clearance. Ka'ike sort of whiffs at it, and the follow-up there from Robin Ludd is off target. It was an awkward one for Ka'ike coming over his shoulder, but didn't make enough contact to prevent that opportunity.
Seventh shot already for the visiting Loons.
Dallas coming off their loss against San Diego, where they had 15 shots, 4 on target, up there with one of their season highs in terms of offensive production. But with no Osazi, it has been difficult, to say the least, defensively, as Sam Hale does give us confirmation that Lucho is 2 away from suspension now, as he cleaned up his act a little bit in recent weeks. Farfan takes the throw, chested by Petar Musa, out of the reach of Sebastian Lletget. Now Pereira quickly into the feet of Yeboah, edge of the box. Yeboah looking for a lane to shoot, sets it back for Pereira. First time shot off the left foot, deflected by Ibeagha behind for a corner.
I mean, it just goes to show you again, you know, how good they are at maximizing what possession they get, because again, they are the lowest easily in terms of possession in Major League Soccer, but it's just not reflected when you look at they've got higher goals, higher XG than most of the teams in the league. More shots on target. Really maximize their possession.
There's another corner for Gressel. In swinger, right on top of Martin Pass once again, clattered into. And this time it'll be a goal kick. I don't believe they called a foul. Goalkeepers usually get so much in terms of preferential treatment from the referee and an easy whistle. I don't think I've ever seen a goalkeeper barged into 4 times without a foul call.
Well, I think that's exactly the point Ibeagha's making out there right now to Marufo.
Farfan long towards Musa. Musa bundled over there and told to get up.
No,
he got the whistle that time. I just didn't hear the whistle. Pretty clear foul from Boxall on the halfway line.
I think a couple of times on Martin Pazel's corner kicks, it's that Minnesota players are pushing Abubakar or somebody else into him, so Marufo sort of sees that, you know, the white-on-white contact there.
Well, we mentioned his experience in the league. I think he should see through something like that.
I agree.
Patrickson in possession, back to Ka'ike in the center circle, over to Abubakar, the left center back in the pairing tonight. Farfan tries to go down the line, blocked out by Julian Gressel for a throw. Ka'ike on the dribble here, past the halfway line, out to Farfan, set back for Acosta. First time ball looking for Lletget, who wasn't quite ready for it. And now Minnesota can counter. Pereira in the middle. Has Robin Ludd wide on the right. Pereira still on it on the dribble. Closed down by Farfan. Bounced out wide for Gressel and back for Will Trapp. Will Trapp over to Robin Ludd. Pereira to Gressel, who was picked up off of waivers after he was frozen out at Inter Miami. Really bounced around the league over the past few seasons. He is absolutely elite at one thing, and that's whipping it in off the right foot. That's why this role suits him quite well. Pereira sets it back for Ludd. Ludd through the lines, looking for Oluwaseyi. Ibeagha read that one and sends it clear. Acosta fighting with Will Trapp. Trapp gets a foot on it. Possession stays with Minnesota.
Acosta thought he got fouled there, but Marufo was having none of it.
Boxall out to Harvey, who was rotated into the team for Jefferson Diaz. Here he goes on a run up the right side. Tackle from Kaike off of Harvey, and that's good work from the Dallas midfielder to win a throw. Haven't heard from Logan Farrington since those 5 minutes when he looked absolutely electric. Kaike gonna try and spring him here with a ball over the top. Brought down first time off the left foot of Logan Farrington. Sets it back for Shaq Moore. Moore on the dribble from outside to in. Finds Patrickson. Patrickson over to Acosta. Attacking here in the left half space. Finds Sebastian Lletget inside the box. Shot blocked there by Harvey. Bounces out for Kaike. Patrickson trying to evade both Will Trapp and Shahir Marufo. Got caught backpedaling there. Dallas wide left with Kaike. Given away there, trying to find Marco Farfan. And Minnesota play through the Dallas pressure. It's back with Michael Boxall now.
Actually, Dallas doing a pretty good job there, sort of eliminating some early passing lanes because neither Kaike or Delgado or Lletget were in position there if Minnesota had been able to break.
Switching ball from Pereira out to Gressel on the right side. Brings it from outside to in. Back to Pereira, back to Ludd. And now Pereira again. Pereira thought about a shot from distance. Disguised pass was under hit. Cleared away by Abubakar for a throw. 8 assists and 2 goals to go with it for Joaquin Pereira. Came over in the summer of 2024. His first full season with the Loons.
Man, he had a good assist the other day up in New York on a Kelvin Yeboah goal.
It'd be a playmaker's dream to play with a strike pairing like this. Ball through the lines into the feet of Pereira. Set back for Ludd. Out to Markanic. He's going to hit the diagonal of the ball, looking for Gressel. Brings it down. Harvey goes on the run beyond him. Harvey now on it. Lletget defending. Pereira off the left foot, headed away by Ibiaga, out to Sebastian Lletget. Dallas work it through the lines nicely here. Musa back out to Lletget. Acosta waiting for it on the halfway line. First time ball, does find Petter Musa, not sure it was intended. Musa on the dribble through the middle, runs into Boxall, goes down, referee says play on. And Acosta, to me, all out of sorts tonight. Gives it away once again.
Yeah, he did, and you know, a second ago when you said something about Lletget not being ready, I really think that was more on Acosta. He's just giving the ball away way too cheaply too often tonight.
A team that you don't want to give it away cheaply against. So far, Dallas not made to pay. 33 minutes, still scoreless. But Musa and Acosta, their influence hasn't really been there in this first half so far. Trapp out to Yeboah, operating off the left wing here. Yeboah at full speed gets past Shaq Moore, who brings him down. And it'll be a free kick in the attacking position, maybe more coming in terms of a yellow card. It'll just be a free kick.
I don't know whether he was late or that was just awkward, but just thought Yeboah was about to run by him. I think it was just
cleared him out.
Kind of awkward.
But now this is even more dangerous than the corner kicks, which have looked plenty dangerous for Julian Gressel. Now he's got an angle he could shoot or cross from. 15 yards off the end line, a couple of yards outside of the box on the far side. Pereira offers a left-footed option as Dallas sets a two-player wall of Lucho Acosta and Kaike. Carlos Harvey helping himself to Martin Paz's water bottle at the back post. He's just gone for seconds. Four targets for Minnesota at the back post. Oluwaseyi at the near. Off the right foot of Gressel into the danger area. Back post, it's Carlos Harvey unmarked, completely alone, and he nods it past Martin Paz for the opening goal.
I can't wait to take a look at this and see who lost an assignment or what happened there, because Harvey just standing by himself at the back post. There's just nobody back there.
This is the book on Minnesota United. Set pieces are their specialty.
Dallas players just looking around at each other. It was either Moore or Boubacar that should have been back there, I guess. They're the most likely suspects. Marco Farfan also in the area, but just nobody takes 2 steps back. So in the end, it's Harvey at about 3 yards outside of goal at the back post, just pushes it back across and takes 1 deflection before it goes in. But either way, 36th minute, Dallas down 1-0.
It's one of those where it's so wide open you can't even really put it down to one person. The scheme broke down on that occasion. And Harvey grabs the goal. First of the season for a 4-year MLS veteran out of Panama.
I looked down at the bench as soon as that happened, and you saw Drew Keyshawn, the goalkeeper coach who designs the defensive set pieces. He just sort of turns around and he throws up his hands, and you can see the exasperation from here, as if to say, what just happened out there?
Well, we are holding kickoff here as they do scour over the replays in Arlington, Texas. David Barry, video assistant referee tonight. Harvey is in an offside position when the first ball is sent in, but I think if it touches off of Boxall, he's back onside. Well, we still wait as it's being checked.
Actually, Ibeagha takes a step back. It's Ibeagha who knocks it in.
And the goal is confirmed.
Yeah, Ibeagha took a step back, and I think at that moment, Harvey is in an onside position.
And so Dallas have now conceded first once again. This has been the trend of the season. Conceded first in 14 of 19 games this year.
Minnesota 9-1-3 when they score first.
San Diego on Saturday had won every game that they'd scored first in, and Dallas really threatened that, taking a lead late in the second half, but of course it wasn't to be, and they kept their perfect record. Patrickson out to Leggett on the left side. Leggett driving forward, Oluwaseyi tracking back. Oluwaseyi goes through the back of Sebastian Leggett. Yellow card quickly out of the pocket for Tani Oluwaseyi. It'll be a free kick for Dallas.
Ryan, it's worth pointing out that, all that happened. Shaq Moore makes a mistake in the foul, but it was Acosta's giveaway a little further up the field that started that attacking phase for Minnesota.
We'll have a chance to maybe try and level his ledger here. He and Marco Farfan standing over this free kick. Minnesota set their line a few yards outside the 18-yard box. From a wide left position, Lucho Acosta left arm raised. Sends this one in looking for Petter Musa at the near post. It's Yeboah who heads away. And Dallas regained possession with Shaq Moore. Out to Acosta on the dribble up the left side. Sees 3 defenders. Tries to find the feet of Farfan. It does break for the Dallas left back. Ball in behind. Does break again for Lucho Acosta on the dribble into the 18. But he runs into Will Trapp, who comes away with it. And then Yeboah takes a little bit of a dive there to win a free kick and stop the transition. Well, when these two teams are brought together, as a former co-worker and good friend is back in town, and that is Marlene Calderon. We want to give a shout out to her now with Minnesota United, the former FC Dallas PR manager. She, her husband, Robert, and their daughter, Viviana. Shout out from your grandparents and family. Welcome back home tonight.
Good people at Marlene.
Sitting a few seats down to our left in the press box right now. Hard at work, I'm sure. Ball in the middle of the field with Robin Ludd. Minnesota United in front, 1-0. Oluwaseyi back to Boxall. Under pressure from Acosta, goes long. Header won by Ibeagha ahead of Yeboah. Keike over to Abubakar. Jet picks it up on the left side, finds Acosta. This has been the Dallas blueprint attacking wise tonight. Keike sprays it out wide left for Farfan. One-on-one here with Gressel. Back for Acosta, and now Leggett. Patrickson trying to find Acosta, turns it over to Oluwaseyi, and now to the races we go. Yeboah leaves it for Pereira, and now makes his sprint in behind. Pereira in the center circle with options either side. Goes out to Markanich, the left wing back.
Markanich, who's turned into quite a scorer recently. Five goals in all competitions for the Loons.
Underrated pickup for them. Guy that bounced around a couple of teams in Major League Soccer. Nice disguised pass, finds Wiltrap with some space in the middle, into the feet of Oluwaseyi, over to Yeboah, back to Tani here, out to Julian Gress on the right side, first time ball, breaks for Oluwaseyi inside the 18, first touch to set himself, nice sliding block from Abubakar, back to Oluwaseyi, and a second big block from Ibiaga, puts it behind for a corner.
Good scramble defending there from FC Dallas, but some breakdowns there as too much time and space to shoot there for a couple of different opportunities for Minnesota. Giving Dallas one more corner kick to deal with.
Last set play ended with Harvey hitting the back of the net. It'll be Gressel again from the far side. In swinger, this time towards the back post. First header won by Minnesota. Trying to shield it out for another corner, and they do. This time from the near side.
So Minnesota stations somebody near pass and then runs one more player in there to sort of get in his way. You know, Dallas just has to be a little better about blocking off those runs.
Pereira under the Dallas supporters section here, raise both arms. And now the end swinger right into the middle of the 6-yard box. That one deflected last off a Minnesota player and wide. A lot of players on both sides standing and watching that one.
Yeah, I think it was Harvey at the back post, and the ball just sort of bounces off of him. Looks like that was Romero actually at the back post. The ball just bounces off of him, and if it bounces a little bit closer to goal, it's right in.
Ibiaga got a touch on it at the near post, but that was sort of the exact flick that Minnesota was looking for. Parfine into the feet of Musa. His best game of the season against Minnesota last year, has been on the edges of the game so far tonight. Kaike into the feet of Acosta. Acosta drop of the shoulder, opens up some space for Patrickson. Patrickson out to Shaq Moore. Some room on the far side. Pins the cross in towards Musa. It's Acosta instead. Acosta denied by St. Clair, who then juggled it over the Dallas number 10 and made the catch.
Now Dallas, a really good opportunity there, because as the ball comes from Patrickson out to Shaq Moore, they've got 3 runners in there. Ball ends up falling to the third one at the back post. It's Acosta. If he hits it,
header.
Yeah, if he hits it anywhere except right at Dane St. Clair, I think it's going in, because that's at about 5 yards.
St. Clair has had a couple of awkward moments, actually.
He has.
He hasn't looked his usual all-star self tonight. Sure, he's maybe had 1 or 2 days of training back with the team since the Gold Cup exit for Canada. Goalkeeper, not really a position where you expect that to make much of a difference. Yes, maybe something to be had there in terms of a rebound, a spillage at some point for Dallas.
Yeah, I said a while ago, it looks like he's Canada's #1 now. Maybe Maxime Crépeau had something to say about that, but you just wonder as he gets back into the Loons, you know, where his mindset is.
Pereira over to Robin Ludd as we're about to find out how much first half stoppage time we'll play. No hydration break tonight, so we won't see a 7 or a 9 like we did last week. Trap. Back to Gressel. Acosta putting the pressure on Boxall, who puts it out of play. 2 minutes added on here in the first half.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. It's humid out there tonight, of course, but catching a little break here. I mean, usually by the time we're into July, you can rely on the temperatures being into the 90s at every kickoff.
Sebastian Lletget on it as we enter first half stoppage time. Into the feet of Musa, trying to hold it up. Boxall goes down. Referee says not enough for a foul. Acosta now on the dribble. Pass one, pass two. Robin Lode in retreat, able to get back and dispossess Lucho Acosta.
I think he needed to slip the ball into Logan Farrington there instead of keeping the ball for one more touch inside the penalty area.
And now building up on this near side, it's Minnesota. Farfan sliding to try and keep it in play. The assistant referee right there says it'll be a throw in for Minnesota. Well, Dallas created a couple of chances in transition, but as the home team, far from enough. And they've certainly been bailed out a few times by Martin Paas in addition to the goal conceded. It hasn't been the first half they would have hoped for. And adjustments will be required at the break.
And the problem is they just don't have a whole lot on the bench tonight.
Not a single signed FC Dallas player that plays on the wing is available tonight. You've got no Anderson Julio or Kamungo through injury, and Leo Chu not in the squad either. It's Yeboah inside the box now, 1v1 with Ibiaga. Help from Patrickson, and Kaike brings it away. He's cleared out from behind. Could warrant a yellow card, and it is. Both Minnesota strikers now have been booked.
Yeah, Yeboah got a big piece of Kaike. Kaike was trying to exit the penalty area.
So back to the topic of the Dallas bench. Pedrinho obviously has had a nice attacking impact off the bench this season. And Siki and Sabling maybe in midfield. Sam Sarver on the short-term call-up. Those are the options in attacking positions. It's pretty thin for Eric Quill to turn to in the second half, but adjustments will be required as we head into the halftime break. Minnesota United leading here at Toyota Stadium. 1-0 your halftime score. Halftime show coming on the other side of this break.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
After 45 plus at Toyota Stadium here on the 4th of July, FC Dallas trails Minnesota United 1-0. Hello everybody, it's the FC Dallas halftime show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you this evening by AdvoCare, building champions together. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in just a moment by our halftime crew of Garrett Meltzer and Steve Davis. But first, let's get you to our halftime stats, which are brought to you by UMB Bank. No highlights tonight, as the only goal comes from Carlos Harvey in the 35th minute off a set piece that initially was ruled a Sebastian Ibiaga own goal, but has then been reverted back to a Harvey goal as he knocks it home 3 yards from the net. Possession-wise goes the way of the Loons, 52-48. 14 shots for the visitors, 4 of those on target. 5 shots for Dallas, just 2 of those on net. 6 corners for the visiting Minnesota United, none for FCD. 3 saves for Martin Paz, 2 saves for Dane St. Clair. 7 fouls for the visitors, 2 yellow cards, those going to Kelvin Yaboa and Tani Oluwaseyi. 4 fouls for FCD, but no yellow cards for the Toros as of yet. As we bring in our halftime team, it's Garrett Meltzer and Steve Davis. And Garrett, you and I were talking a little bit before, and the first half analysis is Minnesota's doing their game plan a lot better than FC Dallas is right now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We kind of talked in the pregame show about who would have more of the ball, and so far it's pretty close to 50-50. Minnesota having just a tad more, but they're having it in more dangerous areas, that's for sure. It's a disappointing half for Dallas because I thought for the first 15, 20 minutes, I was quite encouraged. They were finding Logan Farrington, especially in dangerous areas. He showed great skill a few times in the box to create a great shot on goal that was a good save from Dane St. Clair. And I thought they defended quite well for the first 30 minutes or so. They kind of limited Minnesota to long balls over the top that Martin Paz read well and came out and snuffed out the danger. But then to kind of let yourselves down after all that good work by just a complete mismarking job on the set piece, completely left a man on the back post wide open, and I've watched it back, and it looks like they just didn't really know he was there. And Lalas Abubakar was guarding 2 men, and he basically had a third right behind him that he didn't know was present. So it's a disappointing half because they really let themselves down in one moment and then didn't really respond very well to conceding the first goal.
And Steve, we've talked a lot about the changes at center back. Obviously, no Sazi or Gide tonight, and that in that moment, that felt like a place where you'd really like to have a veteran like that who has shown proficiency in that set piece marking. But it doesn't matter who's in there or not; you've got to defend better than FC Dallas did on that goal.
Yeah, defending set pieces is something FC Dallas did pretty good for about 15 matches lately. We've seen that slip a little bit, paid the price right there. Generally speaking, I think that Minnesota is doing what they always do. At 52%, that's well higher than any. Probably that's a high for the year. I don't know if it'll end that way as Dallas chases the game, but they do so well at maximizing the chances that they can't create with that limited possession. And I see it again tonight because I know that Garrett said he thought they were pretty good over the first 15 or so minutes. I don't think they were bad, but they were making Martin Paz pretty busy back there, having to deal with quite a bit, whether it was, dealing with those set pieces that they're getting again because they're creating pressure on the Dallas defense or, batting balls away. So I think Minnesota was doing sort of what they wanted to do and probably had a little bit more of the ball than they expected to, and that's dangerous. I think Lucho Acosta has to be a little bit more careful about where he's giving the ball away, and if he gives the ball away in the attacking third, well, okay, but 2 or 3 bad turnovers in the midfield, and don't forget the goal came after. I know it was a few passes away, but it came out off another sloppy giveaway from him. So that's not what you want from your team captain.
And to that end, Garrett, with Acosta, it seems like this is almost an early season game from Acosta where the defense knows, okay, if we just put 2 guys around him, he will try to dribble through it. We can get the turnover. And for a team like Minnesota who thrives on those transition moments, they're playing right into their hands right this minute.
You're absolutely right, and it's a shame because I thought the last 3 or so games, I thought there was kind of a breakthrough with Lucho in terms of he was moving the ball a little bit quicker. He was trying to take players on in the right circumstances when he wasn't, faced up with 3 defenders by himself. And interestingly enough, I thought last game where Steve was kind of critical of how FC Dallas was being too reliant on Lucho in the attacking half when they were trying to counterattack and were playing the ball too much to Lucho. And I kind of disagreed with him and said, well, there's no better options. I think they're absolutely guilty of that this game. Not that there's a ton of great passing options, but they're just trying to find him, passing the ball, and then also not making runs off the ball, except for maybe Logan Farrington here and there. But they're definitely just keying in. Minnesota's just keying in when Lucho Acosta gets the ball, putting many men around him, then he's not finding ways out of that. So Dallas has to find a new game plan for sure for the second half.
Well, and part of the problem there, Garrett, you're right, is that Lucho's dropping back and getting the ball right as Dallas gets into the attacking half, and sort of that's where you'd want your tempo setter to be in there. I want to see Leggett doing that or Patrickson doing that. I don't want to see Lucho that far back. I want to see Leggett and Patrickson get more involved in moving the ball forward because right now Patrickson has 2 passes into the final third, and that's one more than Leggett has. So it's not just Lucho Acosta, and I know it's difficult because Minnesota does a really good job of getting back quickly, getting the 5-man line and the back line established, the 3 in front of them. Lod, Trapp, and Pereira, they're very active in there, so I know it's difficult, but those 2 number 8s, you have to have more forward thrust from them as well, so it's not just Acosta.
Well, and it's interesting because we've seen Sebastian Lletget be that guy many times before, the guy who gets on the ball and makes the first outlet pass, the first attacking pass in many ways, and it seems like really in the last 2 games I've noticed, it seems like with Lucho in the team, he's just completely relying on Lucho to do that. But we know Lletget has that ability. He's had that ability for 10 years in this league now, and he definitely needs to take a little bit more responsibility in that respect, and then maybe that allows Lucho to find more dangerous pockets of space rather than being on the ball facing 6 guys in front of him.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. On the other hand, Lucho's got to get further up the field.
For sure.
Lletget cannot find Lucho Acosta. Lucho right now is sort of dropping it a more comfortable position, getting the ball so he can sort of face everything. Well, okay, but you're not dangerous there. I think if you want Lucho, and I'm sort of criticizing Delgado and Lletget about not getting the ball forward, but they need Lucho further forward to get him the ball.
Sure. And to that end, Steve, before we look at the second half, one of the issues Dallas is having, and this is another early season issue, sometimes they've gotten the ball forward specifically in those wide areas, but then whoever has it, be a Farfan, Lletget, or more, there's no one to cross it to. You can get forward all you want, but if no one, be it Farrington or Musa or Acosta, makes that run into the center channel or anywhere near goal, it doesn't matter how wide you get if there's no one to aim at.
It's a great point, because what was the best chance of the night? Ball got sprayed out. I think it was Patrickson. That's probably one of the 2 that he had. Into Shaq Moore on the right side. Now Moore's got 3 guys making good runs in there. That's what you want, and it turned into a great chance. Acosta just didn't get enough purchase on his header, got it too close to Dane St. Clair, but Moore looking up, he's got 3 runners in there, and you say, okay, here's the moment, and hit the ball, which he did. He hits a good ball in there, and it just doesn't come off for them, but that's what you want to see.
So as we look at the second half here, Garrett, obviously the bench for FC Dallas is a little bit depleted. No Anderson, Julio, or Bernie Kamungo due to injury. No Paxton Pomacall due to injury. So when it comes to offensive changes, you don't have a whole lot. So does that mean that if you're Eric Quill, you've got to ask a little bit more of the 11 out there, knowing that your 9 on the bench just aren't as offensively minded as you'd like?
Potentially that's true, but I think the guy that you want to bring off the bench in any scenario when you need a goal is on the bench, and that's Pedrinho, of course. I mean, he's been the super sub all season. Almost all of his goal contributions have come off the bench in second halves when Dallas is chasing the game and trailing by a goal. That's the exact scenario that Dallas finds themselves in once again. So I'd be absolutely shocked if we didn't see Pedrinho after 15 minutes or so. And more likely than not, he's going to add a little bit of creativity in there. It kind of takes some of the onus off Lucho Acosta to be that guy. And it seems like Lucho also trusts him to carry the ball forward, whereas it seems like Lucho doesn't trust some of the other players to do that. And then maybe we'll see, like Steve said, Lucho push into more dangerous areas because he says, okay, I trust Pedrinho to make this creative pass more often than not.
Guys, all that may be true, but the guy that I see warming up looking like he might be coming on sooner rather than later is Ramiro. So I don't know if that means, if they can change to a 4-2-3-1 and push Acosta higher up the field as they add one more, defensive midfielder in there, maybe something like that. But it looks to me like, we don't see Eric Quill making a lot of halftime changes, but it looks like he might be coming in soon.
Well, what it might be, Steve, and this would lead into something we've talked about, that could push Lletget maybe into that center if they want to make him that kind of playmaker. You play KK next to Ramiro, and you could have Lletget a little bit higher and have him try to distribute to that 3 of Musa, Acosta, and Farrington, and that could take the stress off Acosta. It's just an idea, but it might help considering that Lletget has not been very involved in the passing game as of yet. Well, we will see what happens. FC Dallas needs a goal. They are down 1-0 here to Minnesota United on the 4th of July. There are fireworks coming after the game, but we'd really like to see some fireworks on the field here for FC Dallas. That's going to do it for the halftime show. When we return, Ryan and Steve will get you ready for the second half of action here at Toyota Stadium. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar. At the world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Hi everyone, it's Paxton Palmacall, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
1-0 at Minnesota United. Your score after 45 minutes. We're just a minute or so from getting back underway in the second half here, awaiting both teams out of the locker room as the substitutes have been warming up over the break. And Steve, as you pointed out on the halftime show, it looks like Ramiro may be involved sooner rather than later. Dallas not with a ton of senior options on the bench tonight, an average bench age of 22 years old, and that includes a couple of short-term call-ups from North Texas. For me, we need to see more from quite a few of the players that started tonight as opposed to looking to the bench, and maybe it's down to a tactical change that can help unlock that.
Yeah, maybe if you can get Patrickson or Leggett further up the field, you can get a little bit more out of them. Right now I see Leggett still out there. I think I see, do see Patrickson. Do I see Logan Farrington?
Yeah, it looks like everybody has emerged from the tunnel that entered it after the first 45. Farfan the last to join the crew. And so Minnesota have taken the field on the right side as well. They move from right to left here in the second half. Dallas will attack towards the Hall of Fame, hoping for some fireworks before the fireworks tonight on the 4th of July. Need another come-from-behind win, if that will be the case. Minnesota in their huddle to the right, in pursuit of the top spots in the Western Conference. Dallas hoping to catch a ride on the bottom of the playoff positions. The message from Eric Quill over the past week or so since that defeat to San Diego has been it's time to start climbing, and that has to start now in the second half. Dallas in their final huddle. Martin Paas with words of encouragement to his teammates. Paas, one of the positives in the first half, heavily involved, both making saves and involved out off his line.
Yeah, if you're going to start climbing, you can't get outshot in a single half, 14-5 at home.
14 would be just a couple off of Dallas' season high. And that's what Minnesota managed in that first 45 minutes. We'll see which side brings the energy out of the locker room here as Lucho Acosta drops it back to Martin Paas. And we are back underway here in the second half. Dallas in need of another second half resurgence. Musa flicks it on. Farrington will give chase. Boxall sends it clear with the left foot.
Yeah, the high against Dallas for a complete match this year is 23. That was by Philadelphia.
Looks like no changes for either team in terms of the 11 out there from the start. As Ibeaga's got time on the ball for Dallas. Now closed down by Pereira. Drops it off for Lalas Abubakar. All the way back to Martin Paas. Yeboah puts the pressure on. Diagonal out to Marco Farfan, who receives it. His momentum taking it back towards his own goal. Patrickson splitting the center backs, looking to get turned and get things going the other way. Zips a pass out to Shaq Moore. Put this one over the top for the run of Lucho Acosta. Important intervention there from Romero. And now Romero into the feet of Yeboah, always a willing target. Moves it along out to the far side for Gressel.
Yeah, that's an exit pass that covers about 40-45 yards there. Dallas just should be a little bit more aware than that.
Trap diagonal out to Markanich on the near side. To Pereira, ball in behind. Shaq Moore in pursuit here of Markanich, who gets the wrong side of him and goes down. And Moore had a similar foul in the first half, and I think perhaps because of that, he's gone into the book here.
The bigger problem, Ryan, is that similar foul in the first half turned into a goal.
Fair point. And it's going to be a similar position, a couple yards outside of the box for Julian Gressel to take from this near side. Gressel picking up the assist on the goal in the first half, up to 80 in his Major League Soccer career. And a shout out to the previously mentioned Marlene Calderon for that stat, because if anyone has checked the Major League Soccer site recently, apparently nobody had an assist before 2018. And if anybody's listening with the ability to fix that, please do.
It's just weird.
And quickly. Gressel swings this one in towards the back post. Poss got a hand to it, punches it away, and Acosta volleys it clear. St. Clair. Ball towards Pereira. Header won by Acosta. Breaks for Oluwaseyi. Tries to spring Yeboah. He didn't quite make the run with the right timing. It's through to Martin Poss.
I think Oluwaseyi had the right idea. Yeboah just didn't read the lane. That could have been trouble for Dallas. They got off easy on that one.
Acosta in his own half. Now brings it across the halfway line. Swinging the ball out to Marco Farfan with some space on the far side. Sides it up Julian Gressel. Checks it back for Patrickson. Acosta really dropping in deep here now. 1-2 with Ka'ike. Left it short, and a sliding tackle from Trapp has left Acosta down and calling for some medical help. We play on. Along the right side, Musa in pursuit. Romero goes to ground, big sliding tackle. Musa back on it though. Finds Shaq Moore, back to Musa, sets up for Ka'ike. Shot from distance towards the back post is claimed by a diving Dane St. Clair.
That shot coming from about 28 yards along the right side, and Ka'ike got all of it.
His one goal for FC Dallas in the Open Cup earlier this season. Looking for his first in Major League Soccer there. As I think we can realize we're going to have a nice view of some fireworks one way or another with the demolished east side. Fireworks starting to pop up over the Frisco horizon. Shaq Moore, ball in behind for the run of Logan Farrington, just about stays in play. Nice weight on it. Farrington towards the byline. Again, sliding tackle from Romero is a good one. A hard one. Farrington slow to get up.
And you love to see Farrington put that ball right straight across, but again, he only had one target in there. It was Sebastian Lletget.
Costa to Lletget. Lletget wide for Moore. Moore drop of the shoulder, tries to get to the byline. Past Markanic, low cross is blocked behind for a corner. And we talked about wanting to see Lucho higher up the field, but some early returns on a little bit of a deeper position. It's just freeing things up in midfield at the moment.
I think though from those deeper spots, he's looking to pass. He's not just looking to hold the ball and dribble.
He'll take the corner. Dallas with 4 runners at the back post on the edge of the box. Musa, the only one on the top of the 6. Lucho Acosta sends it towards the back post. Lletget brings it down, now trying to get to his left foot. And he's deemed to have fouled Yeboah. And Sebastian Lletget, who's usually one of the first to sprint back in position, puts both hands on his head there, frustrated by the decision, and waves towards Jair Marufo, saying he got that one wrong. Maybe one that should have just tried to hit on the full volley. As difficult as that skill can be, with so many players in the box, you're rarely going to have a chance for a second touch. St. Clair will send the team up the field. Goes long. Ibiaga wins the header over Yeboah. Right to Lucho Acosta. Dropped off for Farrington. Farrington over to Ka'ike. Swings it out to Patrickson, popping up wide right here. Ball in behind for the run of Farrington once again. Farrington back to Shaq Moore. There are targets inside the 18 here. Moore finds Acosta. Acosta on the dribble. Chops up Will Trapp. Now back to Acosta inside the 18 from Lletget. Swings this ball in with pace. Nobody waiting for it at the top of the box. It's retrieved by Marco Farfan on the far side. Now ball off the right foot of Kaike into the danger area, headed away by Boxall. Second header won by Abubakar. And now Oluwaseyi going to try and open up the legs and start this counter attack. Dropped off for Trapp. Ball in behind for the run of Tani, but the run didn't match the pass there.
Right.
Dallas regained possession.
Ryan, I think you're right. Already the second half version of Lucho Acosta, I think he's better.
This direct ball towards Musa, wins the header, sets it down for Lucho Acosta. Now driving at the back line. Acosta, no way past Harvey, breaks back for Sebastian Lletget. Lletget spots the run of Shaq Moore, chips it in behind along the right side. Shaq Moore waits for it to drop, sends the ball in towards the near post, volleyed away by Romero. And Dallas with some early momentum here in the second half. They'll have another corner.
Yeah, that's a really nice little lead from Peter Musa, sort of putting Acosta into a really good spot over on the left side. His dribble got knocked away, but Dallas picking it up and turning it into that cross from Shaq Moore.
Acosta goes quick from the corner, finds Patrickson, corner of the 18, swings the ball in towards the back post. Nobody for Dallas making a run there. And it's kept in play by Gressel well. I think Lletget thought they'd have another corner kick pretty easily there.
I did too.
Instead, Minnesota go the other way. Space in the middle of the field for Will Trapp. Don't mind the quickly taken short corner there. We've seen it work for Dallas a couple times last season, but just nobody crashing the back post.
Yeah, well, I do think Delgado maybe overhit that one a little bit back there too.
Markanich lifts this one forward. Shaq Moore popping up at center back, does well. Farfan and Lletget bring it forward on the far side. 54th minute, Minnesota in front 1-0. Goal from Harvey in the first half. KK over to Ibiaga, brings it down, no pressure on him in the center circle, out to Shaq Moore. As Ramiro makes his way across from the substitutes warming up spot. Looks like he'll enter the match soon. Farfan trying to bend this one in behind. Lletget will give chase. Not going to give up on this one, but he's deemed to have fouled Harvey.
I'm just watching the Minnesota defense at work there, and they get that line of 5 back and those 3 in front. Just do such a good job of staying connected to each other, that midfield line of 3, and also staying connected to the back. And once you get 5 and 3 like that, it's so hard to get through there, Ryan.
Well, FC Dallas is back home July 19th for our 90s night, where we'll be celebrating all things 90s. And some of your favorite Dallas Burn icons will return to Toyota Stadium for a Dallas match against St. Louis City SC. Only a handful of tickets remain. You can visit fcdallastickets.com. Dallas might just be wearing some nice new threads in that one.
Ramiro,
a not well kept rumor, that is.
Ramiro down on the sideline about to come in.
We'll have Mark Dodd in the booth with us for that one as well. If you can't come to the match, be sure to tune in on the FC Dallas Radio Network as our good friend rejoins the broadcast.
Love having Mark in the booth.
St. Clair launching this one long. Ibiaga wins the header. Second ball breaks for Gressel in a central position. Dropped off for Pereira. Wide left with Markanich. Into the feet of Yeboah. Back to Markanich and now Pereira. Pereira this time off the right foot. Bending this one towards Robin Lott at the back post. Nodded in behind looking for Gressel. And Lletget with some good tracking there. Now Dallas look to bring it forward up the left side. Patrickson out to Farfan. Brings it into the attacking half. Waiting for runners to join him in this attack. Now checks back and finds the Ecuadorian once again. Ramiro waiting to enter. Costa on it, wide for Shaq Moore. His only option is back to Acosta. Acosta, diagonal ball through the middle of the field, looking for Lletget, can't corral it. Acosta going hunting, trying to pick up the loose ball, but now there's runners in the attack for Minnesota. And just 5 back defensively for Dallas. Patrickson trying to get out to Pereira, who brings it up the near side. Pereira, corner of the 18, gets to the byline, left-footed ball sent in. Ibiaga puts it behind for a corner.
Could be the 7th quarter of the night for Minnesota.
While we wait for them to take it, we're going to let you know about the FC Dallas Rewind on KDFI More 27. Every Tuesday night during the regular season at 7 p.m. You can watch FC Dallas Soccer for free on KDFI More 27, free and over the air, available everywhere in the DFW market. Wrestle and swinger from the near side. This one towards the back post over everybody's head for Minnesota. Helped along by Shaq Moore. It'll be a throw, and a long throw at that from the far side. Boxall across to take. Boxall encouraged to take a little bit less time over it as he sends the cross in towards the back post, flicked along, and Markanich nods it in at the back post. Appeals for a foul there as Ibiaga was challenging for the initial ball, but again, it's Markanich with nobody within a couple yards of him and an easy tap in.
Well, make that 3 games in a row that long throw turns into a goal for Minnesota. And, you know, we'll just say it again, the key is just winning that first ball at the near post. I thought Ibiaga had a pretty good beat on it, and I didn't see whether it came off of a Dallas player or I think it was a Minnesota player at the back at the front post.
I think there's enough for a foul on Ibiaga here. Marufo's decided nothing inside the box is a foul tonight, particularly against Martin Paz. And so it probably won't be reviewed, particularly with a veteran official in the middle.
Well, on that last look, I didn't see Ibiaga sort of moved out of the frame. I didn't see it, but 2 goals off of set pieces now allowed for FC Dallas, and we know how comfortable Minnesota is defending.
Kayike replaced by Ramiro, and Sebastian Leggett replaced by Pedrinho in response to that second goal. And no extra check for the push. It is 2-0, and it is a mountain to climb against Minnesota tonight. Ibiaga diagonal ball out to Farfan, good weight on it. He brings it down, first touch, sets up Acosta. Acosta looking for Patrickson, last touch off of Ludd, it'll be a corner.
So Ryan, now in this 3-game homestand, Dallas, you know, they're scoring more right now. 2 goals against San Jose, 2 against San Diego, but at this point, that is now 9 goals Dallas has allowed in the last 3 home games.
Go short again from this corner, back to Acosta, whipped ball in towards the near post, headed away by Harvey. And Moore has to go all the way back to Martin Paz under pressure from Robin Ludd. A half hour to turn things around now. Tough task against one of the league's best defensive teams. Boubacar out to Moore. Down the line for Pedrinho. First touches for him. He drops it back to Ibiaga. Shaq Moore will bring it forward on the dribble. Yeboah stabs in with a tackle. Markanich sends it down the line. Yeboah corrals it and then bodied off it there by Patrickson. Good work that time from the Dallas number 6. Back to Ramiro. First action for him. He finds fellow substitute Pedrinho. Dallas trying to work through a tight, congested space up the right side. And that's going to be the task the rest of the night, you feel, with that 2-goal lead for the Loons. Work out of it. Out to the left side now. Farfan chips this one in behind for the run of Lucho. Acosta brings it down inside the box, but showed too much of it there to Gressel. It's out for a throw on the far side.
I'll try to pick out the new shape for FCD, but we'll have to wait until they defend a little bit.
Farfan, drop of the shoulder, gets to the end line, sends this cross in. Pedrinho waiting there, but it's headed away by Boxall. Everybody from Minnesota within 20 yards of their goal now. And Shaq Moore sends the shot on target. Disguised as a cross from Miro on the follow-up off target. St. Clair called into action there.
I think Peter Musa wanted that disguised cross to be a cross.
St. Clair went searching for the extra ball when the ball was waiting inside the 6-yard box for him.
So it looks like Dallas will sort of play some kind of modified 4-2-3-1. Pedrinho's going to play in the middle. Farrington still on the right side. Acosta still have his starting position at that left wing, but he'll move around.
Header won by Ibiaga, but then the first touch too heavy from Musa, trying to put it out in front of Logan Farrington.
And Ramiro will join up with Delgado as a sort of double pivot in there, central midfield.
Romero will take the throw. Fires it in towards Pereira. It's flicked on towards Yeboah, but Abubakar gets there and helps it back to Martin Paz. Paz, awkward one there off the left foot, sliced it back to Yeboah. Ramiro back defending, sliding tackle's an important one. Still breaks for Pereira on the near side. Low cross covered up by Martin Paz, and that's all for naught. Rolls out to Ramiro to get things going the other way. Pedrinho turns past Pereira. Now over to Musa on the halfway line. Just a heavy touch from Musa. Managed to fight his way through 2 players and now find Lucho Acosta. Acosta tries to get around. Boxall still on it here with Trap for company. Pedrinho centrally. Pedrinho on the dribble into the feet of Musa. Musa trying to get turned. Musa still fighting his way through. Goes to ground. Waved up by the referee. And Acosta just commits a cynical foul into the back of Joaquin Pereira.
Frustration starting to show for FC Dallas. I think Pedrinho wanted a little 1-2 action there from Peter Musa, and Musa instead turning right into traffic.
Changes coming now from Minnesota. First up, Bongi Hlongwane, the South African. As well as Owen Jean. Tani Oluwaseyi and Kelvin Yeboah both replaced. So a defensive-minded change for Eric Ramsey, who will play with 1 striker the rest of the way, and that's Hlongwane.
Sort of random connection you and I were talking about, having a little giggle about before the match. Owen Jean actually played with Osazi Urguide. They were both at Amiens in the French league.
He's one of our more random connections of the year.
Also random, I've been to that city.
And Steve Davis can count himself in a nice trio now. People in the building who have been to Amiens, France. Farfan out to Patrickson, bringing it infield off the left side, ball in behind. The run made by Logan Farrington. Farrington gonna have to track it down towards the byline. Does now bring it under control, finds Acosta, first time ball. Breaks now for Patrickson inside the 18, out to Shaq Moore with all kinds of space on the right side. Measures the cross towards the back post. Musa challenging for it, still not cleared. And eventually the whistle goes against FC Dallas as Musa deemed to have too much contact there. Although frustrating for me when that gets called at one end and we've got suplexes and WWE moves in the box at the other end. But a good build-up for Dallas.
Well, I know what Shaq Moore was trying to do as he spots Peter Musa at the back post, and I'm sorry, that was a foul. I mean, he clatters in the back of.
I'm not going to argue with you that one was a foul. I'm going to argue that the other ones were also a foul.
It's just Minnesota players laying all over the place after that. But I would have preferred to have seen Moore really drive a ball right across the face of the goal. I think he had a lot of white shirts to aim for.
St. Clair sends the Loons up the field. 65th minute, 2-0 lead on the road for Minnesota United. Off the left foot of St. Clair, challenging for it. Owen Jean wins the header, his first touch of the game. And it's back to Martin Paz via Sebastian Ibiaga. And Jean is listed in midfield, and that's where I've seen him play, but looks like he's going to join in that front two with Hlongwane. Certainly got the frame for it as Marquinhos just loses his footing, presents it to Logan Farrington now on the dribble from outside to in, stabbed out towards Shaq Moore. Will trap and retreat. Moore gets there, digs out the cross towards Peter Musa, but it's just over his head and St. Clair comes to claim.
Well, Shaq Moore now enjoying a lot of time in the attacking third, which, of course, that's kind of obvious that he would need to as Dallas chases a 2-goal deficit.
Boubacar challenging for it through the back of Hlongwane. Able to keep possession are the Loons. Owen Jean gives it away. Marco Farfan intercepts. Pedrinho working in tight spaces on the far side. Last touch was out off Minnesota. Pedrinho quickly takes the throw into the feet of Acosta. Acosta juggles past one, and then Will Trapp stabs it away from the Dallas number 10. Ramiro helps the home side quickly regain possession. Patrickson lifts it towards Musa, has it easily away by Carlos Harvey. Dallas needed to pick a lock or two here down the stretch. Costa wanted it back from Pedrinho, couldn't find him. Ramiro through the lines to Patrickson, set up nicely for Pedrinho, tried the disguise ball towards Acosta. And it's going to have to be not one, not two, but three passes on the money to break down this Minnesota back line. And now going the other way, Hlongwane 1v1 with Abubakar, puts it in behind for Owen Jean. Owen Jean with Ibiaga on an island. Ibiaga goes to ground. Last touch was off the Minnesota United man, and that is some nice defending in retreat there from the Dallas center backs.
Well, it was. That was a really nice ball played across into a good spot for Jean, and I think Ibiaga just did a really good job of keeping his position, keeping his feet moving, and making it difficult for Jean to figure out exactly what he wanted to do there. And in the end, he didn't do much at all.
Ramiro spots the run of Petter Musa, puts this ball in behind. Musa holding off his man. It breaks for Farrington inside the box. First time ball towards the back post for Musa. Harvey with the crucial touch. And went through his legs, and then he found it before Musa could.
Dallas getting some good pressure right now, and not far off from, creating some good chances and creating some half chances. Just haven't been able to create that one really good high quality chance.
And the remaining substitutes for Dallas watching on. You really expect Pedrinho to be the main roll of the dice in the attacking area, unless Eric Quill turns to some of the young players that haven't had an opportunity really in MLS so far. This might have to be the group to do it, as we've got 21 minutes plus stoppage time. Dallas in desperate need of a goal to give themselves some life here in the second half.
And I think Pedrinho has actually been lively since coming on. It's just that right now Minnesota have 11 men back.
This thing not going to require just a lock pick. It's going to require a locksmith. As Minnesota have batted down the hatches. Ramiro swinging it out to Patrickson on the near side. Back to Ramiro, first time ball over the top for the run of Patrickson. It just about stays in play, and the corner is coming now as the cross was blocked behind by Ramiro.
Patrickson doing a really good job there, turning that into a corner kick when he didn't have much else to work with.
He'll take the corner himself. Out swinging service into the danger area. Costa challenging for it. Breaks for Pedrinho, top of the box. Pedrinho on the dribble with Hlongwane for company. Gets it wide for Farfan. Farfan, early cross in towards Farrington. Gets the header towards goal, but off target.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something that just happened there that I really like. Look, Acosta was moving out to Farfan to get the ball off his foot. And I think Farfan just said, no, I'm going to hit this ball in because I've got three shirts to aim at. And I think Acosta turned around and had a word with him, but I think that was the right choice and turned into a shot for Dallas. Eric Quill talked about that, about how, they can't always, they've got to be brave enough to just make the right pass and not always give the ball to Acosta just because he wants it.
Markanich picks it up on the halfway line. Minnesota with a rare moment in possession here since scoring the second goal. Ramiro direct towards Hlongwane. Ibiaga steps in the way and wins the header, but can't keep it in play. It's going to be a throw.
Ibiaga's been busy back there. Not so much in the last 10 minutes since Minnesota scored the second goal, but before that he had a lot to do. Right now Minnesota out shooting Dallas 16-9, but Dallas really closing the gap over the last 10 minutes.
Throwing down the line. Hlongwane trying to hold off Ibiaga. Now Shaq Moore across to help out, and it will be a Dallas throw. Ibiaga down the line to Moore. Moore right with Markinich taking a ride on his back the whole way. He's going to win another throw, this time in the attacking half. Taken quickly by Musa. He's got it back here along the right side. Goes on a dribble here past Pereira. Musa gets his head up, spots Farrington at the back post. It's Logan Farrington, takes it down off the chest, gets turned, fires the shot, and gets Dallas back in the game. Farrington back on the score sheet, first time in a while for the big dog, and that might just give Dallas some life here down the stretch.
Well, it absolutely gives them life. Look, I said that last 10 minutes they've done a good job. Pedrinho coming in, being dangerous. Delgado playing some good balls. Well, that time it's Peter Musa who spots his teammate Logan Farrington. And we talked about how Farrington, he just doesn't always operate so well when he's on the wing. He's not his position, but that time he takes the ball down on his chest, pushes inside, eliminates the defender. It's Julian Gressel who doesn't really do a very good job of defending Logan Farrington. When Farrington creates a little bit of space for himself on the left side at 17 yards, he fires it into the back post.
First goal since Chicago at home, just the second goal of the season for Logan Farrington. Got himself into a striker's position there, set up by his good friend and running mate, Peter Musa. And now this is game on, as we've got 17 plus stoppage time to go here in the second half. Ramiro fires it forward, down the line for Farrington. A lot of space for Farrington. Ramiro at full speed in retreat on his back. Farrington now towards the edge of the box, just runs into Will Trapp, goes down, and referee waves him up. Too much of a head of steam that time for Logan Farrington.
I'm not sure he had a really great plan there. I think the plan was to run as hard as he could, as fast as he could, until somebody stopped him.
Well, I know he heard the footsteps because Ramiro was full speed behind him. Minnesota have a sucker punch going the other way. Gressel to Robin Ludd.
Well, I think that was the indicator light to Minnesota that maybe they're not going to be able to just sit back and defend with 11 for, the next 20 minutes. That they're going to have to actually try to have a little bit of the ball and play forward and, keep Dallas, push Dallas back just a little bit.
Fourth assist of the season for Peter Musa on the goal. Here's Hlongwane getting turned at the other end. Checks back. Robin Ludd, first time ball, finds Pereira. Back to Hlongwane, shot from distance, easily over the bar there.
I mean, Peter Musa put that ball on a rope from just in front of the FC Dallas bench, all the way into Logan Farrington on the backside of the penalty area.
Ramiro, plenty of time, middle of the field here as Minnesota are readying a pair of changes themselves.
I think Ramiro coming in, I think he's done a pretty good job of being a pace setter.
Pedrinho back to Abubakar. Pedrinho dropped in really deep here and was part of the back three.
Ramiro tried to tell Abubakar where to go with the ball, and Abubakar just not doing it and ends up giving it away.
Now Gressel brings it forward up the right side. Three in the attack for Minnesota. Ball in behind looking for Hlongwane. Abubakar sliding block. And he manages to smuggle it to Ramiro. Ramiro back to Pass. First time ball out to Shaq Moore. And Dallas break that initial line of pressure. But they look up and see 7 bodies still back from Minnesota. And Peter Musa dropping in, tries the same trick again. Diagonal the ball out to Acosta, again on a rope, taken down off the chest of Lucho Acosta. He can run a Julian Gressel here. Acosta back to Patrickson. Patrickson shot from distance. Oh, it rings the crossbar. St. Clair was hopeless there. Bailed out by the woodwork.
Well, these changes have really brought Dallas's attack to life.
Stabilizing changes coming from Minnesota. Waiting, Song Bin. Jefferson Diaz. First time ball from Moore into the feet of Farrington. Sets up Acosta centrally. Acosta on the dribble, looking for a lane. Goes down. Thought he was pretty clearly tripped up that time. Referee waves things on. And now a foot race. Pereira and Ibiaga up the near side. Ibiaga leaning on Pereira, who's got the advantage here towards the byline. Sends it in and stings the palms of Martin Pass, who picks it up This game now going end to end. 77th minute. Dallas with life. 2-1 Minnesota, your score.
I would think Dallas doesn't mind it being end to end. You know, I mean, you just said it. Minnesota's looking to stabilize the game. I think a little chaos plays to Dallas's favor.
Inches away from an equalizer. A rocket from Delgado moments ago. Delgado this time chips it into Acosta. First time off the chest of Acosta. Finds Farrington getting turned inside the box. Goes down under pressure from Romero. Still there for Acosta. And appeals from the Dallas bench, certainly for a foul, but it's a Minnesota player who's gone down. We play on with Shaq Moore up the right side. Finds Acosta. Acosta, drop of the shoulder, frees himself up, some space up the right side. Beats one more man to the byline, now chops back, looking for options. Volleyed ball into the box towards Farrington after some improvisation from Acosta. Now Ramiro, second ball swung in all the way through, volleyed away by Gressel. Foot race to the ball, an important one. Abubakar wins it. Keep this pressure on, out to Pedrinho on the left side. Back to Pedrinho, and now back to Ramiro centrally. Diagonal ball over the top towards Musa, nodded on towards the back post. Farrington waiting. St. Clair runs into Logan Farrington and coughs it up. And just like he's been doing all night, Jair Marufo swallows the whistle. 3 Minnesota players down on the ground right now as they put it out for a throw. The boos rain down. It's St. Clair, it's Romero and Pereira.
I think that was the right call for Marufo, not necessarily for the reason you said. I feel like he just got a little awkward and clumsy, and I think he more ran into Logan Farrington.
Well, not for the first time tonight. He's looked all out of sorts, really.
He has. I mean, Farrington's sort of trying to get out of the way. It's just, you know, it's a contact sport, and
well, the Minnesota United athletic training staff is going to be stretched thin here. They don't even have enough to attend to the 3 players down.
Okay, well, how many of these guys have to go off for a couple of minutes?
Well, there's 2 substitutes waiting, and it doesn't apply to the goalkeeper. So I think
yeah, I think
I've
you've got your answer.
down. I'll tell you what, St. Clair was hopeless on the Patrickson shot. Getting another look at it.
And the other reason Marufo didn't make the call is St. Clair had bobbled that ball. It was trying to regain possession, which sort of makes it a free ball. And even though I said Logan Farrington was sort of trying to get out of the way there, as St. Clair almost regained possession, you know, it's a free ball as he bobbles it. But getting another look at that Delgado shot from a moment ago, I mean, he's hitting that one at about 26 yards, and he just stung the underside of the crossbar.
Romero, center back, down right now. Center back is Jefferson Diaz, ready to enter this game, and he will replace the number 5 up on the board. And if I was being cynical, which I can be at times,
I think I know what you're going to say, and I think you're right.
I think the 2 players that were about to go off found themselves down and injured at a very convenient moment there, as Dallas had built a lot of momentum, and now it may well have dissipated. Romero with a light limp off the field. Replaced by Diaz. And the boos you can hear, certainly. Looks like maybe just the one change, which to me would mean that Pereira should be off the field.
I agree.
And he will be sent off the field. We'll see if that prompts Eric Ramsey to make the change or not. St. Clair is back in goal. And if we don't see a number greater than 5 on the board later, that would be a miscarriage of justice. Restart play, throw in from Marco Farfan. Musa trying to juggle it to himself, bends the ball in towards the back post. Shaq Moore knocks it down towards Farrington, volleyed away. Ramiro onto the second ball. Patrickson, space to whip this ball in low, in towards Lucho Acosta. First time off the bar again. It just won't fall for Dallas.
Yeah, but they're really keeping the pressure up right now. This is the most lively we've seen Dallas's offense probably in, well, during this 3-game homestand.
A goal from Farrington. Patrickson off the bar, now Lucho off the bar. Minnesota temporarily down to 10, with Pereira waiting to re-enter the match. St. Clair managed to kill a good chunk of the 2 minutes with this goal kick. Now watches it long.
Marufo's got to be a little better than that. He's got to, start warning St. Clair a little bit earlier.
Better one by Ibiaga, then Boxall at the other end. Farrington nods it out towards Pedrinho. Pedrinho volleying it, juggling it up to himself, loses out there to Owen Jean. And now Trapp trying to put the ball in behind here for Hlongwane. Abubakar alert to it, makes the tackle. It's all FC Dallas right now. Just need the moment to equalize. Here's Shaq Moore, right center channel, finds Lucho Acosta. Patrickson back to Acosta. 3 players around him, beats 2, but not the 3rd. And now Markanich just sees some green grass to run into. Towards the halfway line, now into the feet of Hlongwane. Open space, gets past Abubakar. Will Trapp with options in front of him. Out wide right now, Owen Jean inside the box. Ball in towards Hlongwane. And that's a let off for Dallas. It's all the way through and behind for a goal kick. Even down to 10 men as Pereira's back on now. Minnesota threatening on the counter. Ramiro spots the run of Lucho Acosta. Diaz able to get in the way that time. Pereira's volleyed clearance back out to Ramiro. Into the feet of Musa. Turns with his first touch, stabs it out to Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore waiting for options in the middle, whips this one towards the back post. Farrington gets the first contact, but not the contact he wanted. It hit him in the nose. Dallas will keep the pressure on. Ramiro to Lucho. Abubakar back to Lucho. Spots the runs out to the far side. Pedrinho challenging for it. Did it take a touch off anybody? No, it'll be a goal kick.
Lucho Acosta just continuing to put his hands on his knees. I think he's exhausted out there. They don't need an exhausted Lucho.
Well, what they need is these goal kicks to come at a little bit of a quicker pace, for being honest. St. Clair now sends his teammates up the field. Minnesota preparing 2 changes, their final 2. They'll wait on those as St. Clair sends it long. Abubakar wins the header. Dallas center backs absolutely dominant in the air in this second half. Maybe not a surprise, particularly once the strikers went off. That is some of the strengths of this center back pairing for Dallas. Pedrinho out to Marco Farfan, back to Pedrinho. Costa dropping in to receive it, out to Ibiaga, given all kinds of space here. Still within 40 yards of goal. Musa off the right side, with his head up. Looking for Ramiro, forced that one through a lane that really wasn't there. And now Minnesota again looking to break. Pereira, first time ball, spots the run of Jean on the far side. Didn't quite catch him in stride. Dallas defending with Pedrinho and Abubakar right now.
Dallas got way too narrow on that last attack.
Farfan, nice lunging tackle, restores possession. Acosta trying to keep it away from Pereira, out to Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore clattered into by Markanich. And now Minnesota will make their changes here in the 86th minute.
We have 2 substitutions for Minnesota occurring in the 87th minute.
Gressel is off. And Markanich is off, so swap at either wingback position. Morris Duggan will take the spot on the left, and Hlongwane will be the right wing back with Song Bin coming on to lead the line. Pedrinho receives it on the far side. Defending is Hongwane. Farfan, last touch was off of him. It'll be a throw-in for Minnesota.
It was a sloppy, sort of casual touch there from Pedrinho that he just lost the ball way too easily.
And Boxall will even take this one just to get some extra yardage behind it. Towards the halfway line, header one by Ramiro. Volleyed back up the field by Trapp, header one by Farfan. Ramiro wins another header in midfield. It's just head tennis back and forth, and eventually all the way back to Dane St. Clair. As we're going to see an FC Dallas debut here in the final minutes of regulation. It's Sam Sarver with the FC Dallas jersey on for the first time. The leading man for North Texas SC this season, just grabbed his 10th goal of the Next Pro campaign against Minnesota last night. Quick turnaround for the Indiana product. Let's see who he comes on for, as Dallas are in desperate need of at least one goal in these final minutes. Harvey got the opening goal tonight, bringing it forward up the far side. Farfan being tugged from behind by the Panamanian, who commits the foul, and now Sarver will enter the match. Farfan off, Sam Sarver on. Eric Quill hoping to catch the IU grad on a heater. A goal and 2 assists last night at Choctaw Stadium. And he's on the field at Toyota Stadium for the first time. Looking to make an impact off the right wing by the looks of things.
Dallas wants to get Alvaro into the game as well. Don't know if that's to position him up near goal or just go to 3 in the back.
Acosta try to connect with Patrickson, off the mark there. Pereira to Son Bin. Sarver, full sprint back defensively. Son Bin, one of the fastest players in Major League Soccer when he gets up to speed. He's towards the corner flag. Sarver leans on him, and that's deemed enough for a foul by Jair Marufo. Alvaro is going to be the final roll of the dice for Eric Quill. The question might be at which end of the field, because if you've ever been out to an FC Dallas training, and that is an exclusive group of people that myself and Steve are a part of, nobody does the shooting drill quite like Alvaro. He's going to replace Patrickson. And in addition to being a 6'5" target, Alvaro can certainly hit one. See if he gets the opportunity in stoppage time here. Looks like he will go back towards a more comfortable defensive position as he replaces Patrickson, and the shape is getting increasingly amorphous for FC Dallas. We'll have to defend a free kick as we await the amount of stoppage time. Looks like 6 will go on the board, and that's hardly enough. Maybe enough for 1 or 2 opportunities. Minnesota going to try and keep it in the corner. Pereira launches it off of Ramiro and out for a throw. So both coaches have used all the cards in their deck here as we're in the second half stoppage time. Minnesota in front 2-1. And Moores won a free kick as the whistle's gotten tight down the stretch. That time going the way of FC Dallas. Ramiro will bring it forward. And Alvaro is in the front line, a target to aim at, along with Musa and Farrington. Sarver off the right. Lifted out to Shaq Moore, who'll bring it forward on the near side. Shaq Moore bending the ball in, looking for Musa, headed away by Harvey. Fighting for the second ball, Pedrinho. But it's Jean who comes away with it. Out to Pereira. Switching ball, easily intercepted there by Abubakar. Dallas have numbers on the near side, who will bring it back across. Ramiro, diagonal to the far side. Logan Farrington making the run in behind. St. Clair out off his line. And Farrington timed it well. The pass, maybe a yard over hit, allowed St. Clair to come and catch it. Minute and a half of the 6 have elapsed. St. Clair, plenty of air underneath this punt. Nobody wins the header on the first attempt. Then Ibiaga wins the header, second opportunity. Pedrinho gets a touch, but it breaks for Owen Jean. 4 in the attack here. It's Robin Ludd along the right side. Ball towards the back post, looking for Song Bin, out of his reach. And it will be a corner, as it was helped along the way at some point there by, I think, Pedrinho.
I got to say, Minnesota doing a good job here the last few minutes. Looking like a team that's up near the top of the West and just milking the clock, taking the air out of the ball.
We've got the corner. Dallas have left 4 players up at the other end. And just the time management from the referee has been really poor, allowing the time to just tick down. Minnesota, in addition, have done well.
It's not. You're right. Except Dallas, a couple of times they're encroaching, and that gives Minnesota the right to say, "Hey, referee, you know this guy's only 8 yards away." And Dallas has to be smart about that too.
Minnesota just keeping it near the corner flag. Sarver leaning on Pereira, and Sarver will dribble clear with the ball into Ramiro, switching it out to Abubakar on the far side. Out to Acosta off the left. Acosta across the ground. Musa picks it up on the halfway line. Lifts it out to Farrington, the route they found the goal here in the second half. It's flicked out off Minnesota for a throw. A throw that Farrington, I guess, took from a yard too far forward. And now he's going to do it for a 3rd time.
I'm not sure what Marufo wants here.
And there's no way
he's asking for the ball to be held for something. Quick check somewhere.
Never got to the 18-yard box in terms of a penalty check. Pereira was slow to get back in formation. I wonder if there was some contact there maybe at the other end. Well, in the end, it was time wasted. Hopefully added back on. 2 minutes of the allotted 6 to play. Acosta whipping this ball in towards Musa. Header won by Boxall. Sarver brings it down, top of the box towards Farrington. Trapp gets ahead to it, then Hongwane presents it to Acosta. Sarver back to Acosta. Lucho Acosta off the right foot. Flicked at the near post by Minnesota. The break for Shaq Moore here on the near side if he wants to keep it in play. And I think he was caught in 2 minds as to whether to keep it in play or not, and he got a touch that gives Minnesota the throw. And now to your earlier point, Dallas now helping themselves out with the throw and restart. Boxall will come across to take it. Ibiaga wins the header. Ramiro down the line to Moore. Duggan with a tackle. Pereira in the midfield for Song Bin. Owen Jean with Robin Ludd making the run at the far side. Alvaro, tackle in the middle of the field, wins it back for Dallas. Quickly finds Pedrinho. Pedrinho, head up, scoops this one up towards Peter Musa on the far side. Musa looking for a way past Harvey, drops the shoulder past him. Now spots Hongwane, ball whipped in towards the back post. Moore wins the first header up into the air. Farrington challenging for the second ball. Alvaro picks up the 3rd wave of this opportunity wide right. Ramiro, space to bend this cross in towards the back post. Acosta waiting at the back post towards goal on target, and St. Clair covers it up. And some exhausted Dallas players at this point as the final seconds are ticking down. Robin Ludd brings it the other way. Will Trapp on it. A couple of runners. Minnesota happy just to keep the ball at this end at this point. Abubakar fighting for it with Robin Ludd near the corner flag. Abubakar comes away with it. Ramiro to Sarver, first time ball forward. Nobody there in the middle of the field for Dallas. Sarver gets on it on the second ball, but that will be it tonight. As Dallas with a second half fight but not enough to mount a full comeback. 2-1 Minnesota as Dallas dropped this one at home. Their third straight defeat here on this homestand. There will be a lot to talk about on the other side of this break as the fireworks go off in the Frisco sky tonight. We wish you a happy 4th of July as this one ends. Minnesota United 2, FC Dallas 1.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation.